things.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, yeah, we can.
We can approve it if,
Saying you
but
want
then
it.
someone to make a motion
Or you thought it was.
approve it, and then we can talk about it.
Yes, the coach's handbook, right? Yeah.
But don't need to make a motion on the superintendent.
No, because you're just gonna kind of talk about it.
Yeah, they need to come up with their standards and rules.
Sure, perfect. Huh? I'm sucking in.
How are you doing?
Oh, good. I'm trying to not show.
My kids
I think I touched it.
Hey, you do a really good job on the
5 o'clock meeting.
line judging and
Saw that.
football and the football. I love
That is how cool. They're
the
both
football stuff.
in Scotland.
Oh,
That's awesome.
oh, the chain gang?
Are they in Edinburgh?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a long time.
Sterling
Okay.
is supposedly one that usually
Thanks.
watches
No, I mean
the
it.
5 o'clock meeting. So it's Paul.
Okay.
Luckily, he doesn't have work today.
How about my boys at volleyball games?
Oh, that's
They're
awesome.
basketball too.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, yeah, please, thank you.
Come in and watch.
Sherry,
What time?
They've had a year.
I have tea because I have a cold. Like at least half my kids.
Yes,
are sick.
Randy?
Oh, we have one meeting.
it's on.
Yeah, for sure.
You still got a cold? You all right? You're gonna talk about the, are we gonna talk about the news? Oh, we'll do that Monday for the committee meeting or Monday? Okay, good.
Good evening. I'd like to call Lake Park Audubon School Board meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Marge?
Here.
Cole?
Here.
Aaron?
Here.
Jade?
Here.
And Sarah's running late and Susan is here. Let's all 1.3 rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, 1.4, can I get a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Yes. Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Agenda is approved. 2.0, old business, we have nothing under 2.0. 3.0, new business, and on 3.1, we have CISO financial report.
Yes, Madam Chair, I would like to introduce, we have two young ladies here to help us. We have Janetta from CISO and Sue from CISO as well. Can you ladies hear us okay and see us okay?
Yep. Hi, everybody.
Hello, good evening. Just so you know, we have 5 of our board members here, myself, Sherry. We also have a couple of representatives from the teachers union. And we have our principals and our building and grounds supervisor as well. So thank you for taking time this evening.
You're welcome.
Are we able to?
Would you be able to share your screen, Janetta?
Yep, that is what I'm working on.
I'm sorry, Susie's here as well too. Sorry, Susie. Okay. I don't want to leave you out, I feel bad.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
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 Perfect. All right. Good evening, everybody. I am excited to welcome you to this presentation on the financial landscape of Lake Park Audubon. Tonight, we will journey through the district's fiscal history and current budget, equipping you with some insights needed to guide the educational mission with confidence, from revenue sources to expense allocations, and from historical trends to the fiscal year 26 budget outlook. We'll explore how every dollar supports our students and community as well. Okay, to kick off the presentation, here's our agenda, outlining key topics that we'll cover to provide a comprehensive view of LPA's financial landscape. First, we'll start out by watching a video on how Minnesota schools are funded, and then we're going to take a look at the finance cycle. Then we'll take some time discussing the various funds and fund balances. After fund and fund balances, we'll dive into LPA's financial data trends. Then finish the night by doing a high-level review of the district's current approved budget for fiscal year 26 by fund.
Janetta, real quick, this is Randy
Yep.
Berquist here. I think we discussed if we have questions along the way, we can surely, one of our board members has a question we can ask. And just want to throw that out there as we discussed.
Yes, absolutely. Feel free to stop me at any time and ask questions as they come up, okay?
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so we're going to start out with the Minnesota School Finance video.
Janetta, is there supposed to be sound?
You can't hear it?
No,
Shoot.
I thought we were back to.
Maybe we won't be able to watch this one. Let's see.
Just push something.
Okay, let's try this one more time. Here, we'll try. Are you guys able to hear anything?
Nope.
No.
Oh, shoot. Okay. All right, we might have to skip this part. Some of it we'll walk through as we go through the presentation anyways. Okay. Okay, so moving on, this is the finance cycle chart. Understanding this cycle is crucial for decision making as it helps align resources, comply with the state requirements, and plan effectively for our student needs. So I'm going to break it down step by step, referencing the affected year and the timelines shown here. Starting at the top, you'll see the audited process for 24-25 fiscal year highlighted in green from June through December 2025. That's currently where we're at. So this period involves compiling financial data, submitting unaudited reports to MDE by late summer to early fall, and completing the full audit with a turnaround by November 30th. The audit ensures transparency and accuracy in our prior year spending, and it's a state mandate that helps influence the future funding adjustments. Next, the actual fiscal year for 25-26, which is shown in pink, from July 25 to June 26. So this represents our district's operational financial year aligned with the Minnesota Standard July 1 through June 30. During this time, we execute the budget, we planned, tracked revenues and expenses, and managed the day-to-day finances. It's the backbone of our operations, encompassing everything from salaries to supplies. Then we have overlapping with that is the school year. So for 25-26 in blue from September to June, this matches the academic calendar starting after Labor Day and running through late spring or early summer. Financially, it's when most instructional costs occurred, but notice how it doesn't perfectly align with the fiscal year. There's a bit of a lag, which means we often bridge funding from the prior collections into the new school term through holdback payments. Moving down to the levy process for the 26-27 year, which is in gray from June to November. Levies are our local property tax mechanism, okay, critical since they can fund up to 25 to 30% of a district's budget in Minnesota, and depending on voter approvals and state formulas. This timeline covers planning, public hearings, under truth and taxation laws and certification by December. So for instance, coming up, we have to hold a public meeting to discuss the proposed levy and budget, allowing community input before finalizing. The levy is set in late 2025, will be payable in 2026, which is supporting the 26 and 27 fiscal year. Then we have the budget for 26-27 in orange from October to June. So budgeting is an ongoing process that starts with projections in the fall, incorporates enrollment data, state aid estimates, and levy plans. In Minnesota districts, preliminary budgets are often reviewed in the spring with final adoption by June 30 for the upcoming fiscal year. This ensures we're prepared for expenses like staffing and programs well in advance. Finally, at the bottom, we have tax collected for 26-27 in the purple, and this is from January to June of 2026. So property taxes in Minnesota are typically due in 2 installments, one in May and in October, but collections begin earlier through estimates and abatements. This revenue stream funds the latter part of the fiscal year and helps stabilize our cash flow.
Janetta, can I just interrupt for a sec, please?
Go ahead.
Board members, maybe you're already aware of this, but the levy process, remember, we have to have a truth and taxation meeting in December. We can't start that meeting until 6 o'clock, and that will be the final levy that gets sent to the state. We do a preliminary levy that's supposed to be done on Monday, the 22nd, which is our next board meeting, that needs to be completed by by September 30th. That's a preliminary amount, okay? The budget process, I think we've talked about this before. As a superintendent, I prefer to start the budget process in December and January, which is, I'm glad you have that up there, Janetta, like that, because I think some school districts maybe don't start that early. So those are just a couple things I want to throw out there with all of you board members and others. Thank you, Janetta.
Yep. So in summary with this slide, the finance cycle keeps our district accountable, funded, and focused on education. By grasping these timelines, we can better navigate some of the challenges like our enrollment shifts, or maybe there's funding formula changes from MDE. Okay, so next on our agenda, we're going to talk about the funds and fund balances. Okay, so this slide outlines the different fund balances that our school district manages. Understanding these funds is essential for overseeing our financial health and ensuring resources align with our educational goals. First, we have the general fund, which forms the core of our operational budget. This fund covers instruction, which includes regular, vocational, and special education, ensuring that our classrooms are staffed and equipped. It also supports school and district administration, keeping leadership and management effective. Pupil support services like counseling and special needs assistance fall here, as do its expenses for sites and buildings, which maintains our facilities for the students' use. This is where the bulk of our day-to-day spending occurs, which is typically funded through the state aids and the local levies. Next, we have the food service fund, which handles our nutritional program, specifically breakfast and lunch services. The self-sustaining fund relies on state and federal reimbursements, student payments, and sometimes district subsidies, ensuring all students have access to meals, which is critical for their focus and well-being. Next, the Community Education Fund focuses on extracurricular and community-focused programs. This includes Raider Care, after-school support, summer rec, day camp for recreational activities, and early learning programs to prepare our youngest students. These funds enhance community engagement and provide additional learning opportunities beyond just that standard curriculum, often supported by fees and grants. Then we have the Building Construction Fund, which is dedicated to capital projects. So think new classrooms, renovations, or any major building repairs. This is a separate pool to ensure we can plan and finance long-term infrastructure improvements without straining that operational budget. And it's typically funded through bonds, capital levies that are approved by the voters. Then we also have the Debt Service Fund, which is used to repay borrowed money, such as the bonds for construction projects. This fund is financed through dedicated property tax levies to ensure we meet our financial obligations while managing interest costs over time. Lastly, we have the fiduciary and proprietary funds. They cover trust funds, agency funds, or enterprise activities, such as the student activity accounts or to have internal service funds. These are managed with strict oversight to safeguard assets and generate revenue, such as through facility rentals for a specific purpose. So together, these funds create a balanced finance structure. The general fund drives the core education, while the others support specialized needs, such as your infrastructure and community services. In Minnesota state laws and MDE guidelines dictate how we can allocate and report these, with audits ensuring the compliance. This framework lets us prioritize the student outcomes while maintaining fiscal responsibility. Okay, so this slide highlights the critical role that fund balance play in our district's financial stability. As noted here, a district's fund balance is a key indicator of a financial well-being. It represents the accumulative reserves from revenue exceeding expenditures, acting as that financial safety net. In Minnesota school districts, maintaining a healthy fund balance is vital due to unpredictability of like the state funding and other local economic factors. So let's walk through specific benefits that it provides. So first, fund balances ensure cash flow. So this means that we have liquid resources available to cover your payroll, utilities, and any other regular expenses, especially during months when revenue like state aid or tax collection might be delayed. It's like having a steady stream to keep that engine running smooth. Second, it offers a cushion against unanticipated expenditures. Unexpected costs such as emergency repairs to the school building after a storm or a sudden increase in insurance premiums. A solid fund balance allows us to address these without disrupting the core services or even dipping into the next year's budget. Third, it helps manage enrollment changes. So if we do experience a sudden drop or a spike in student numbers, which affects the state average daily membership or the ADM funding, the fund balance can kind of bridge that gap. So for example, a declining enrollment might reduce our aid. However, a rapid increase could strain the resources before the additional funding kicks in. Fourth, it protects against funding deficiencies. In Minnesota, state aid can sometimes fall short due to legislative budget adjustments or economic downturns. So a reserve helps maintain stability until that new revenue is secured or costs are adjusted. And then finally, it mitigates the impact of aid proration at the state level. When the MDE prorates funding paying less than the full amount allocated, a fund balance can offset that shortfall, ensuring we meet our commitments to the students and the staff. For our district, this slide underscores the importance of strategic planning. MDE recommends that a school district maintains an unassigned fund balance of at least 5 to 10% of annual expenditures, though some aim for 25% or higher just for that added security and cushion, so we can safeguard against these variables, ensuring long-term sustainability and the ability to prioritize a quality education for our students. Okay, this next slide breaks down how our district funds are categorized and managed its financial reserves. So understanding these categories is key to ensuring we allocate resources effectively and comply with the state regulations. First, we have the restricted funds, which are subject to legally enforced constraints. These are earmarked for specific purposes mandated by law. So like grant terms or voter approvals, these include operating capital, covering essential equipment and technology purposes, or our LTFM, which is a set aside of major building repairs and upgrades, a requirement under Minnesota law to maintain our facilities. And we have basic skills, which fund support targeted programs for students needing extra academic help. And then we have staff development resources, enhancing teacher training and professional growth. These restricted funds ensure we meet legal obligations and prioritize critical areas in our districts. Next, we have the non-spendable category. This includes assets that aren't in a spendable form or tied to legal requirements. So this covers like our prepaid items, such as insurance or subscriptions that are paid in advance, inventories such as textbooks or supplies that are held for future use. These funds are locked up in a non-liquid form, preserving them for a designated purpose without immediate cash availability. Finally, we have the committed funds. These are designated for specific purposes through formal board action, like a resolution passed during the meetings. This category allows flexibility for us to allocate reserves, say for a planned renovation, a bus purchase, or a new program. While ensuring the decision is documented and intentional, it reflects our proactive planning and commitment for district goals. In Minnesota, MDE guidelines shape how we can classify these balances with annual audits verifying the compliance. Restricted funds often come from the state or federal sources, while committed funds stem from our own budgeting decisions. Together, these categories help us balance immediate needs with long-term stability, ensuring we're preparing for everything from facility upkeep to staff training. Okay, this slide on fund balance category focuses on the assigned and unassigned components of our unrestricted fund balance. These categories reflect how we allocate our financial reserves with flexibility and intent, and an understanding of them is key to managing our district's fiscal health. On the left, we have assigned funds, which represents the district's intentional allocation for specific purposes. This includes like separation and retirement, setting aside resources for staff severances or pension contributions. QCOP funds support quality compensation programs to reward teacher performance. Carryover, which allows individual schools to retain unspent funds for future needs, promoting local decision-making. And then there's third-party billing, which cover costs reimbursed by external entities like Medicaid for special education services. These assignments give us targeted control over portions of our reserves, aligning with the district's priorities. On the right, we have the unassigned funds, which are not available, or excuse me, which are available for all other purposes not covered by other categories. This one is a critical pool because it's used to calculate the statutory operating debt, also known as SOD, which is a key metric in Minnesota that limits how much debt we can carry based on our fund balance. It also represents the fund balance most widely referred to by individuals. So think like your parents, your staff, community members, when we discuss our financial cushion. This unassigned portion provides the flexibility to address unexpected needs or opportunities, making it a vital safety net for the district. As noted at the bottom, both assigned and unassigned are components of the unrestricted fund balance, meaning they aren't legally bound like restricted funds, but are still strategically managed. In Minnesota, again, MDE encourages maintaining an unassigned fund balance at least 5 to 10% of expenditures to ensure stability, especially given potential state aid fluctuations or any audit findings. This balance allows us to plan for growth to cover deficits or invest in initiatives without immediate legal constraints. Okay, this slide shows the history of LPA's general fund balance expressed as a percentage of expenditures. So this chart traces our financial journey from 2019 all the way to 2024, with a notable peak highlighted by the arrow marking the influx of the COVID-19 federal funds. So let's walk through this timeline to understand our financial resilience and some of the challenges we might have ahead. In 2019, our fund balance stood at 20.8%, a solid starting point, reflecting prudent management amidst regular state funding and local levies. By 2020, it rose to 30.05. As we begin navigating the early stages of the pandemic with initial federal relief trickling in, The real surge came in 2021, where you see the peak at 35.22%, indicated by that arrow. This spike was driven by substantial COVID-19 relief funds from the federal government through programs like the ESSER fund, which provided unprecedented support to offset pandemic-related costs such as remote learning, infrastructure, and health measures. Then we take a look at post-2021. As these one-time funds were utilized, the balance began to decline. So by 2022, it dropped to 24.76%, which is still above that kind of recommended goal of staying around 25% for your cushion and ensures operational stability. However, by 2023, it fell to 10.67%, reflecting the exhaustion of those federal dollars and rising expenditures without matching that revenue growth. Then we get to 2024. And this shows us at 4.86%, which is dangerously close to that 2.5% threshold where SOD kicks in under Minnesota law, signaling potential financial stress. Now, I just want to make it noted that we don't currently have the final numbers for 24-25 school year just yet, because we're working through the audit for last year. Historically, the audit has been presented in November, at which time we'll be able to see where the fund balance landed for last year.
So Janetta, real quick, first of all, are there any questions from board members up to this point? Or Sherry, is there anything you want to add? Because we have seen this presentation. We met with Janetta and Sue earlier today. Is there any questions, board members, that you want to ask? Okay. Janetta, so could you please, because I've been talking about this for quite some time. I know at 2.5% SOD, and I know that MSBA, Minnesota School Boards Association, recommends a certain percentage. It's suggested to stay around 25% fund balance, which you just wrote, or which is there. And currently, as of last year, we were at 4.86%. So we'll see once, because the audit's currently going on right now. We're working with the auditors right now. So we should have something coming up in November. Could you please explain in like a minute or less exactly what SOD is? Or Sue, if you want to talk a little bit about SOD, because we've talked about that a number of times, both with you individuals plus with the school board members here. Could you touch base with that, please?
Absolutely. So I have never actually been in a district who's been in SOD. So as far as like knowing that process, basically though, it's the state comes in at that point and they're the ones making the cuts. The school does not have a say on what is being cut. The state makes those decisions. So if it's people, programs, anything, the state makes that choice. The district no longer has a choice in what reductions are being made.
Janetta, thank you. And I want people, I'm very transparent and I want people to know, and I appreciate you saying that because that's exactly what I have said about SOD, and I want people to think I was lying about that. So thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that. Are you okay?
Brandy, can I interject here?
Please do so.
Yeah, when I started my career as a school business manager, my first year, the district that I signed up with was going into SOD. They had a $6 million budget and they were heading into SOD by about $1.2 million in the hole. So we did have to have MDE representatives come and discuss with us, and we created a plan together with them on how to get us out of SOD. We ended up getting the label as we were the fastest ones to go into SOD and the fastest ones to get out. So it wasn't fun, but you just make a plan and you just kind of have to stick with it.
So Janetta, thank you, Sue, for that. Janetta, getting back to the fund balance, is it safe to say, in a nutshell, a fund balance helps you out on a rainy day? Is that safe to say, like if the state, because this has happened in the past, where the state maybe didn't have the money allocated or didn't pay the full amount, our district needs to be able to pay, each district needs to be able to pay their bills. Salaries for teachers, for everybody. That's basically the purpose of a fund balance for a rainy day, correct?
Correct. So it's just like your personal finances. You want to have that emergency fund where you've got at least 3 months of expenditures. It's the same thing for the district. If there were anything to happen with your state aid, which is your biggest bucket, or your enrollment, if anything happens with that fund balance is going to be what protects you from getting into trouble.
Are these numbers based off of past numbers that we had already created, or has there been some homework to go back to verify that these are what they are? And were they accurate? Did they
Yes.
tie up?
Yeah.
Yes, these are
Here.
all,
And remember, during the interview process, I brought those budget sheets. Those do line up with these numbers.
Okay.
So yes, these numbers are
They're
accurate.
tying out.
Huh?
They're tying out.
Yeah, they're kind of,
With the homework that CISO's done, okay.
yeah, it's aligned with what we've done in our district
Okay.
to look at this. So yes, we both align together. Just so you know, MSBA recommends a certain policy, 25%. LPA, their policy was between 10 and 18%. And that was done in 2019, pre-COVID. So one of the things I want to talk about at the end is having a policy committee meeting, which that would probably be one that we need to update at some point.
Yes.
So just so you know, we're 10 to 18 based on 2019. Thank you. Did that answer your question, Jane? Thank you, Janetta. And Sue.
okay. So the next thing we're going to start going through is some of Lake Park Audubon's data. Okay, so this slide shows the history of the K-12 average daily membership, or your ADM, from the 14-15 school year through the 24-25 school year. For those of you who don't know what an ADM is, it is the measure of the percent of the school year a student is enrolled in school. So it's calculated by dividing the total number of days a student is enrolled by the total number of instructional days for the school year. So as an example, if a student enrolls the first day of school and stays through the end of the school year, they're going to be counted as a full ADM, a 1.0. Okay. However, if they don't join until halfway through, let's say quarter one, they'll only be counted as like a 0.8 ADM. Same thing if their ADM count basically gets less and less the later on through the year that they join the district or enroll in the district. So this bar chart provides a clear view of the enrollment trends with that arrow pointing to that slight dip in the COVID-19 year. So we're going to walk through this data. So starting in 14-15 school year, the ADM was 695.63, which is a steady baseline. So this remained relatively stable through the 15-16 school year at 695, and the 16-17 school year, we saw 700.54 ADM. By 2017-18, it edged up to 706.35. And then in 18-19, it reached up to 731.67. So it reflected kind of that gradual growth, which is good. 2019-20, the school year ADM actually peaked at 743 students. Then we get into that COVID year and we dip down to 715.51, which was the height of that COVID pandemic. Like I said, the decrease could have been attributed to several factors. Many families opted for home learning or homeschooling opportunities given the uncertainty of the pandemic. Then we look at more recent years. So in 2021 to 2022, it increased to 739.9, coming really close to those pre-pandemic levels, and remained fairly stable through 22-23. However, we get to the 23-24, we saw a significant dip in enrollment, dropping to 702.46. And then even further in 24-25, it continued to decline to a 10-year low of 658.75. This is a decrease from the 22 to 23 school year of 10.76%. Now, this trend is critical for planning because enrollment drives that state ADM funding, which constitutes about 60% of the budget in Minnesota. So that COVID peak gave us kind of a temporary boost, but that decline since 23 underscores the need to monitor the demographic shifts in the community and adapt. MDE uses this data for aid calculating, and our recent 24-25 audit will reflect some of these changes. So moving forward, we should explore retention strategies or community outreach to try to stabilize and grow that ADM back to what it was. Just to give a little bit of a history on some of the legislative changes on how the general ed funding formula has changed throughout the years. This table outlines the funding increases and percentages approved by Minnesota legislation from fiscal year 23 through 26. So starting in fiscal year 23, the formula received an increase of $135 or a 2% boost, which brought the formula to $6,863 per pupil.
Correct.
This modest rise reflected early efforts to address some of the inflationary pressures and maintaining a baseline support for our schools in Minnesota. In fiscal year 24, the increase jumped a whopping 4%, which is one of the highest increases we've seen. This raised the formula to $7,138. For fiscal year 25, the increase moderated to the 2% rise, settling the formula at, or 2.2% rise, setting the formula at $7,281. And then for fiscal year 26, we saw an increase of $200, that 2.74 inflationary increase, and that brought the formula to $7,481. The slight acceleration reflects ongoing efforts to keep the pace with some of the rising costs. Excuse me. These figures are also critical because the general education funding formula, again, is the primary mechanism for state aid in Minnesota. And it covers 70-80% of a school district's budget. So for our board, this means we can anticipate modest but steady revenue growth though we must also plan for potential cuts, a proration if the state budget ever tightens, which has been warned in recent legislative sessions. Okay, so this slide is a nice visualization of your revenues by source code. The largest portion of state aid accounts for 79.7% of LPA's revenue budget. This includes the general funding formula, special ed aid, and compensatory revenue. It's the backbone of our operations, which is driven by that ADM count. Okay. The second source is your property taxes, which this contributes to 14.6% of your general fund revenue. And this is through the levies, which you'll be approving. This reflects local investment in our schools, funding everything from operations to capital projects. This approval to the most current levy certification, like I mentioned, is going to be coming up at your next board meeting. And approving the right amounts in the levy process is critical because of the potential for rare but significant losses or gains throughout the year. If you set aside too little, you're not prepared for those big jumps in expenses. You're tied to that amount. Like if you approve the actual amount, you're tied to that amount. You cannot increase your levy. So proper modeling using the levy process helps ensure the organization allocates funds wisely to make sure we're balancing any risk and opportunity. Finally, we have the other and federal funds, which just makes up the smallest portion of your revenue budget at 5.7%. This primarily comes from like fees and other revenues collected from the community, and then also your title funding.
Jeanette, I have a couple questions. I want to interrupt you for a sec, please. So just so the board members know, the basic general ed formula for a student right now is $7,481, right? So if we lose 40 students, that's a $280,000 shift. But 7,481 is just the basic formula. That doesn't include some of the other associated with them. I know one time with Region 1, they said figure anywhere between $9,000 to $10,000 per student, right? So obviously, I feel like I'm yelling. If I am, I'm sorry. I apologize, okay? So the bottom line is, you lose 10 kids, that's probably close to $100,000, right? So there's that. Is that correct, Janetta? I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you. The property taxes for our district is 14.6%. Is that low for district? Is that high? Is that medium? Sewer, Janetta, do you have anything to add to that?
So as we discussed kind of earlier today, Randy, I think around like that 20% mark is fairly average for school districts for the property tax. So we're coming in a little bit lower than most districts, I believe, for the property taxes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, board members?
Back a few slides ago, when we had the 2017, 18, and 18, 19, there was a significant increase. Do we have any idea what happened between those years?
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yep.
Could you go back to that slide, Jenna? Make sure we're on the right
Yep.
slide. Sorry, 'cause I'm a visual person. I think it was, no, keep going. Are you talking about all the years
Yep.
across?
That one.
So
Oh, this one here.
do we have any idea what changed from the 17, 18 to 18, 19 to increase 30 students? I mean, you look through that, I kind of have a feeling what's going on with 22, 23 and to where we're at today. But what caused, do we have any history, do we have any background as to why we grew 30 students in a year?
I'm sorry, I do not know. Marge, Cole?
I would, just, people were coming in.
Well, obviously.
No, I'm saying
Yeah, I mean, but
they weren't leaving.
why?
is there
More
something
people.
locally, other districts have? I mean, where did they come from? Is there any way to find that out?
During that time, we had a lot of students that were, at least in this building, were open enrolling.
From DL and.
Yeah,
From other districts then?
Yes.
mainly, yeah, I would say
So-
mainly east of here.
So we could identify where that open enrolling was coming from?
That's just my recollection.
Yeah, we actually talked about that. Sue, I think you were part of that this morning. We talked about, and I'll share that with you. I just haven't had a chance to get to it, but it talks about where all the kids that open roll out, what districts they go to by grade level. Right, Sue? That was about a 10-page report.
Yeah, that's correct. That's every year in the student ADM report, the final report for the year. We could certainly look back at those reports from 18, 19 and see if we can look at the year before and see if we can figure out where they're coming from.
It'd be intriguing because that's that was normal back then. And all of a sudden, in 1 year, we grew 30 students. Well, why and where and how?
I want to say, but I thought we had some good kindergarten.
I was just gonna say, look at the kindergarten class, there was a couple of years
There
in
was a
there where
couple
the
years.
kindergarten classes
Big.
jumped extreme, yep.
And that's, that kind of was, okay.
But
And we're keeping the kids in the district and they're
Yep,
not open
yep.
and rolling out.
Yeah, and likely that's probably where it was at, pre-K then.
I want to almost say kindergarten, we were getting them.
When did the pre-K start here?
Oh, they've had it ever since my kids were younger.
6, 7.
It's been here for years.
Um,
It wasn't
long
like it was
time.
just started or anything. Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't because of
That
that.
was my question,
Yep.
if maybe we started.
I think it's been here a lot longer than,
My
yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
out of school and
It's, yeah, my kids.
30 years,
okay.
probably better.
Dr.
He's
Burke,
23 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, but then
we also look
3-year-olds
at,
too.
could it be a big kindergarten class coming in with a small
senior class graduating.
class, you know?
Yeah, that's a possibility, and we have to look into that. I'll look into that and find out and try to get an answer tomorrow for the board members, because that's a good question. Did that answer the question that you had?
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions? Board members?
Well, could we go back to the pie?
Could you go back to the pie, please, Janetta? That one?
Yes, the other, what categories of revenue do we receive in that piece of the pie?
That's federal funding title, right?
Grants, grant money?
Yeah, that'd be great. Janetta,
Okay.
can you hear us?
Oh,
I think she's buffering.
Yeah.
Sue, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Oh, Janetta's back now.
So
I would
do we-
assume,
Oh,
I'll
sorry.
let her take it. She's reviewed the codes a lot more than I have, so.
Would that be title funds, Janetta?
Not in the other category. So the other category is just like fees we've received from community members for any programming fees or like yearbooks or anything like that. That very small kind of white unlabeled one, that's your federal funds.
like donations?
Donations would be in the other category as well. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Answer question mark?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Janetta. Keep going on, please.
Okay, so in this slide, it details where our expenditures are located. And understanding this breakdown is also essential for effective oversight. Okay, so as shown here, our expenses are distributed across several key areas. The largest category is going to be your salaries and benefits, which those account for 73.18% of your budget. This covers teachers and staff wages, health insurance, retirement contributions, which are our biggest investment in delivering, and it's our biggest investment in delivering a quality education for our students. Next, we have the purchased services, which makes up 16.53%, which includes your utilities, contracted maintenance, and professional services like special ed, legal, or auditing support. We also have the supplies and materials, which contribute at 5.09%. So this is for your classrooms, resources, textbooks, operational needs. And then we have capital outlay, which is 4.72%, which funds any equipment and facility improvements. Lastly, for underneath of the other accounts, it's 0.48%. And this covers just miscellaneous costs like any travel fees or any minor fees.
And
So
is-
knowing these,
What time frame is this over? Is
This
it
was,
like
this would have
past
been
year?
last year, correct, Janetta?
yes, yep, this would have been from last
So
year.
last year, July 1st through June 30th we just had.
Do we have trends of the previous years?
Janetta, or Sue, is there a possibility to get trends of previous years? Trend data?
Yep.
I'll get that. It might not be tomorrow.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Fine.
So here's another question on that, Janetta. 73.18%. What's the average for most districts on salaries and benefits? Is it close to 80?
Yes, salaries and benefits are typically closer to 80% of a district's budget.
Thank you.
Okay, so knowing these expenses come from, or knowing where these expenses are coming from, it's critical for several reasons. So first, it guides our budget prioritization with the 73.18 tied to salaries and benefits. Any staffing decisions, hiring retentions, or raises can impact one of our largest costs. Second, it highlights cost control. The 16.53% for purchased services, for instance, could be optimized through different vendor contracts or different energy efficiency measures. Third, we have the long-term planning, the capital outlay at 4.72%, which signals infrastructure needs, but overinvesting could strain our reserves. So we got to be careful on what we're planning throughout each year. So this breakdown ties directly to our 79.7% state aid revenue and 14.6% local taxes, emphasizing the need to align our expenditures with our income resources. This next slide, I think, is kind of a fun one. So it illustrates how every dollar of our LPA budget is allocated across the key programs areas. So this $1 bill visualization provides a tangible breakdown of our spending priorities and underscores why this perspective is essential for informed governance. Okay, so let's picture a single $1 bill representing our total expenditures. The overwhelming majority, 77.10 cents, goes directly to supporting our students, which emphasizes our core mission, providing quality education for the students. Within that, 58.07 cents funds student support, which covers your counseling, health services, extracurriculars, and stuff that nurtures a well-rounded development. Another 5.95 cents supports instructional support, which includes our teacher training, curriculum resources, classroom aids to enhance those learning outcomes. Additionally, 13.8 cents is dedicated to the special education and related services, ensuring that equitable access for students with the diverse needs, which is a non-negotiable under state and federal mandates. The remaining 22.9 cents sustains our operations behind the scenes, okay? 8.41 cents covers your district and school administration, from the board oversight, financial management, to the site level leadership that keeps everything coordinated. We have 2.55 cents that goes to the district support services, like your technology infrastructure and transportation coordination. 11.94 cents addresses your operations and like your fixed costs, including your utilities, maintenance, and insurance to keep the facility safe and functional. So this program level view is important for several reasons. First, it reinforces the mission alignment with over 70% directly benefiting our students, which validates our focus on education amid the competing demands. Lastly, it promotes community accountability, and it helps us communicate transparently about the value of every taxpayer dollar. Okay, so this next slide is showing the history of expenses and revenues for LPA from 2019 all the way through the 2024 school year, with again the arrow highlighting that COVID-19 year. This chart tracks our financial trajectory, showing how revenue and expenses have evolved and why this history informs our current strategy. So let's break it down. In 2019, our revenue stood at 2.8 million, with expenses at 10.2 million, which left us a modest surplus, and that kept our fund balance healthy at the 20.8%. By 2020, revenue grew to 11.5 million as the federal relief kind of began trickling in, while expenses rose to 10.8 million, which maintained stability. The significant shift came from the 2021, which is marked by that arrow. So during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, revenue surged to 13.2 million. It boosted by that the ESSER funds, while expenses also climbed to 12.1 million to cover those remote learning costs, health measures, staff support. So this peak reflects a 22% revenue increase, which pushed our fund balance up to 35.22%. Okay. Post 2021, COVID, that trend reversed. So you can see your revenue and expense lines are now crossing. It's reversed. In 2022, revenue dipped down to 12.1 million as federal funds tapered, and the expenses at 11.5 million. This reduced our fund balance to 24.76%. By 23, revenue fell to 11.8 million. However, the expenses reached 12.3 million, further dropping the fund balance to the 10.67% due to all of those one-time funds running out. And then in 2024, revenue settled at 11.6, but expenses still rose to the 12.4 million, which brought the fund balance to the concerning 4.86%. So this history is critical for several reasons. First, it shows the revenue volatility. The 2021 spike from the federal aid was temporary, and our reliance on state and property taxes now face kind of the pressure from that declining enrollment. Second, expense growth outpaced the revenue since 2022, which signals some sustainability challenges. Third, the trend underscores the need for a reserve cushion, maintaining a balance above that 2.5% to avoid the SOD, which LPA is risking being near. So this slide just kind of helps guide us to balancing spending with sustainable revenue by leveraging history to kind of help plan ahead. Okay, so next I want to talk about, and this is kind of the last portion that we're going to talk about, is the fiscal year 26 adopted budget. This is the one that you guys adopted back in June, probably.
Yep.
Okay, so here we're just going to take a high-level look at this adopted budget, which is across all the funds. So based on a projected ADM of 660 students, we are forecasting total revenues of about 11.86 million and expenses of roughly 11.85 million, leaving us with a very slim overall surplus of just 6,408. That's not a lot of cushion for any surprises like shifts in enrollment or unexpected costs, especially with an already depleted fund balance. But here's where it gets a little bit more concerning. Our preliminary student count as of today stands at about 634. This is a drop of 26 students from the projection. That alone translates to a revenue shortfall of 194,500 in just the general education funding, not accounting for adjustments in other areas like your title funds, property taxes. So we're already kind of starting that year behind. To put all of this kind of into perspective, our fund balance at the end of fiscal year 24 was 4.86, and we're still finalizing the fiscal year 25 and where that'll land. So remember, that SOD kicks in at 2.5% or below, and we're dangerously getting close to that. So we need to start, acting now. Let's closely monitor those state aids, tighten up some of that spending, and strategize on how we can utilize those levy adjustments to help build back some of those reserves. And do you guys have any questions?
Janetta, could you go back to that last screen, please? I have a question.
Yeah.
So obviously, when I look at that, there's a lot of things that administration, the board, and the teachers and the faculty and staff, everything else have to consider going forward for the end of this school year, obviously, like we've talked. Could you touch a little bit on the community ed, because it's a deficit of $112,465. I know that community ed funds for most districts aren't a moneymaker. We're here to help our students, what?
It's everything that's included there.
Yeah, that's included in there is community ed, early childhood family education, everything else. Isn't it safe to say that a lot of districts have a deficit in that area? And that sometimes gets offset to reduce a deficit by taking money out of the general fund at some point. Is that correct?
That is correct, Randy. I see Janetta must have froze again.
Okay, thank you, Sue. Is it safe to say that obviously our grand total of $6,408, based on an ADM of 660, is concerning, but the community ed fund, at 112,000 is probably, is it safe to say, to be transparent, it's a little bit higher than what a district our size should have? Is that correct?
Yes. So I would say probably cut that in half or even quarter it is where I would be comfortable with that deficit, in my opinion.
Thank you.
That makes a difference.
Yeah. Board members, are there questions, comments?
Going back to the slide showing the percent of expenditures per category,
Yes,
we can get a trend of that one right there, yes.
yes.
And we see what that has looked like over the last 5-8 years, is that
Yes.
a possibility?
Yes, it is.
Because I would assume that there's a significant growth in a certain category that's a significant concern.
So Janetta and Sue, I know we'll probably have a meeting on Monday at 10. Probably not gonna have time tomorrow. I know you ladies are busy tomorrow, but could we possibly look at the trend data for anywhere from 3 to 7 years? On that, and then expenses by object? Is that this slide here, right?
Yeah, you know, and the other thing is when we built new schools, the big thing was that we'll build a new school, that'll help reduce our overall cost of maintenance, la. This school has been here X amount of years. Do we have any history to find out what the cost on the previous old facility was versus what our cost to operate the new facility? This is a new facility in my mind.
Yeah.
That was what we sold our taxpayers on, is while we put up this new building, our cost per is gonna go down. Has it ever been looked at? Has it ever gone back to the time of what those costs were to what they are today? And now same with the elementary. We have to remodel the elementary to help reduce overall cost. Okay, what was our cost and now where are we at today? What's it starting to look like? Because that, I remember, I've never seen that number. I don't know if that's ever been shared with the community. I don't know if the old board has ever seen that, but our old, build a new school, our costs will go down. Well, did they ever go down? Have they ever been controlled? Can we go back that far to see it?
You know something, Jade?
Matter.
I have not seen anything like that, but I will do my due diligence to find that out. And Mr. Mike Zick is here too. We are starting to see costs increase right now for some of the things that we have. And Mike and I meet just about every single day. And matter of fact, one of the things I would like to talk about at the end is having a building and grounds committee meeting coming up. Because we gotta start prioritizing, right? You can see right now, when you look at that, we don't have a lot of extra money laying around, right? So we gotta kind of prioritize. We have some big negotiations coming up. We have the teacher union group next week. We have October 14th, the MSCA group coming up. We gotta start making some hard decisions, and we've gotta start planning ahead. Anything to add to that, Janetta or Sue? Am I correct?
In that budget that we approved, where did the 660 come from?
That would have been inputted,
Projected enrollment.
that would have been inputted by somebody in the district before my time, probably.
Where they were guessing that we were gonna land.
And what was, okay.
Madam Chair, to go back to your question, in my memory again, I believe that the board, I don't know if it was when I was teaching or when I got on, but they compared one year that I believe it was utilities bill had gone down from that old building that we had. Because you must have been maybe, not good lighting, not good blah, 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 but it seems to me they did cover that one time.
Well, we should be able to look at 5 years ago maintenance costs to
right.
today, and 5 years ago,
Right, so I
Should be-
bet you that's,
less than what it's cost, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I was looking at when the graph is going up and in 2021, it's role reversed our expenses and revenues. So yeah, if we could look at where we started increasing and maybe there's some place to highlight.
Yeah.
So,
well then, that's when
I'm
we got
sorry.
the ESSER funds. And we spent.
Yeah.
but see, when you, how do I say this? When you spend in the people area, but the next year, those extra funds are gone,
Yep.
but you still have
Correct.
that, you know, I'm just trying to, yeah. So then it's still, it stays there.
I understand that. I wasn't, well, when I first became board chair, I was in a financial meeting and they said, you have to watch our costs as we have decreasing enrollment. We have to keep planning for it.
Correct, yeah.
I guess the only other question I would have, has there been any code tracking changes that would impact these numbers in our business side of it? So we used to track certain revenues or expenses to a certain code, now we changed it and now it's over here, which would impact these numbers, or are the codes consistent over the past
We have
years
done some
now?
changes of codes, the OPEB, right? Janetta and Sue, sorry, we had a board member, and a couple board members wondering, have we done any changes of coding with you as the business managers that we didn't do previously, correct? Maybe we could talk a little bit about special ed or the OPEB that we're looking at doing. Sue?
Well, most UFAR's coding is pretty standard and you really can't play around with that too much, you know. One thing that I just noticed though, with our OPEB liability, which is paying for retirees' health insurance benefits.
General ed fund.
Yeah, we can levy for that and add to the levy and get reimbursement for it because we did sunset those provisions in the contracts. So that's something that we're looking at.
How about special ed, Sue? Did we do something different with special ed coding?
No, I'm not aware of anything. Are you, Janetta?
The only thing we did different with special ed for this year was we pushed a lot into the MA billing just to drop down the fund balance there. But otherwise, it should have been. So
I'm gonna explain what Sue said, okay? OPEB is a lot of districts had retirement benefits for their teachers, right? In a nutshell, districts had to sunset that, meaning that they couldn't do that anymore. We still have an LPA along with a number of other schools. Correct me if I'm wrong, or Jeanette or Sue, or Sherry or anybody else, that we still have money on the books that we owe these retirees for health insurance, right? What we have been doing in the past is instead of levy our taxpayers on that, which 99.9% of school districts do, right? We took it out of the general fund and paid for it, which depleted our general fund. Is that correct? Jeanette?
That's correct, Randy.
Is that as a recent?
We just did that now. We're going to,
Okay. You wouldn't be able to do that in the past until you put a sunset of those liabilities. So what I see has happened is in those contracts, we have put in where we maybe do something different where we pay as you go before they retire. Okay. So we basically sunset some at a certain date, we sunsetted that OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits, benefit for them. And because we put that sunset in there, now we can levy for the costs that there are because they'll eventually go away because we did sunset it. Does that make sense to everybody?
Sue, is it correct though that they've been sunsetted for a little, I don't know, a couple of years?
Few years, yeah.
Few years, and in the past few years, we were taking that money out of the general ed formula as opposed to what we probably should have done is levy that, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's going to be a change this year, to answer your question, okay? I don't know who asked that. Okay. Here's, Jeanette and Sue, can I just talk quickly about the levy certification process?
Sure.
Okay. And maybe some of you know this. So our next school board meeting is Monday night, all right? And the levy certification process is 39 pages long at the state of Minnesota. And we have to have a certain dollar amount or the max. LPA has done the max in the past, correct?
Correct. Historically, it's been the max levy amount.
So what happens is by September 30th, we have to have this approved. Now, next Monday, as a board, you can say, yep, I want to approve the max. Fortunate thing is, every single day, this levy certification sheets, they get updated. Every single day through the state. You have to go in and get the system and print them out and everything else. So for example, when I looked at this was from Tuesday, right? And I print it off, we go through it and everything else, print it off. So we have a couple options. As a board, you can decide, yep, we're gonna do the max, okay? Or you can say, you know, I wanna alleviate some of the pressure on the taxpayers. I'm being transparent here, people are watching, right? I wanna alleviate the pressure on the taxpayers. I don't wanna do the max, I wanna do this amount. But as this continues to get updated in October and November, up to the point in the Truth and Taxation meeting, all right? Then if you say, oh my gosh, we just set it at this amount, you cannot go higher. You can only go lower. So there happens to be a big levy certification meeting next Wednesday at Lakes Country Service Cooperative in Fergus Falls. I plan to attend that. If you want to do the max on Monday night, you can, or a certain amount, or we can schedule a special board meeting next week, another meeting, and say, okay, we have more information now as of Wednesday. That's up to you. Sue or Janetta, is there anything you want to add to that, what I just said? Am I correct in that?
Yes, you are, you are correct, Randy. That is correct. But I want to explain a little bit. The reason why there's so many changes is because the levy is based on different formulas. And the formulas are coming from various different, like ADMs, resident ADMs and things like that. And as those numbers start getting to MDE to keep adding to or whatever. So it's always recommended to at the preliminary certification to do the maximum, because there may be more stuff coming in through the months of October and November. So unless there's a specific item that you do not want to levy what you're eligible for, then you would point that out or whatever. But it's always recommended to do the maximum.
And that's recommended, Sue, because if we do the max in September, we can lower that on December in the Truth and Taxation meeting. But if we have a certain amount in September, we cannot raise that, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Any questions regarding the levy certification process? We're going through it with a fine-tooth comb to try to see what we can do. Sue or Jeanette, is there anything else you want to add? Sherry, did I forget anything?
Madam Chair, I have a quick question. And I don't remember if it was Sue or Janetta, I apologize. When we were talking about special ed, someone said that it was under the purchased services.
Yes, there is a portion of your special ed that goes under purchase services. So there's staff from like Lake Agassiz that gets contracted out. So they'd be considered part of the purchase services.
So an example, Sarah, would be like, I don't know, maybe a blind person, if we had a blind student might come in, or a deaf and hard of hearing might come in, somebody like that, yes. And I have talked with Mr. Maston from Lake Agassiz, and he feels very comfortable with the numbers that he gave CISO. They work together, and so he does feel comfortable with that process as well, and they feel like they're on the same page. He feels like they're on the same page.
So it's just outside resources, not
Correct.
our special ed teachers or paras, that's all still in the salary and,
Yes.
Okay.
Right, Jeanette and Sue?
That's correct. Because we are paying somebody else, it ends up going under purchase services because they're not our employees.
Correct.
Otherwise, they go into salaries and benefits. So a portion of that purchase services amount is likely salaries for teachers that we don't have on our staff.
thank you.
Yeah,
Madam Chair, go ahead.
I have a question for you. What is the average norm in the state of Minnesota school districts for purchase services? Are we about on average there, or are some of them more or less?
That is a good question that we maybe will have to look into and get back to you.
Thank you.
That's a great question.
Does it depend on how many kids are sent over there?
Yeah,
Take our
correct.
kids?
I guess out of curiosity, and I am outside of all of what we're seeing here, being that you're just diving into our district's finances, what is the one thing is like, I mean, is there any one thing that just we have to look at and look at now? I mean, overall, we have a lot to look at, but is there just one thing as being new to the business side of it? What is it?
Jeanette and Sue, I know the answer to my question. Did you hear what Mr. Carlson asked?
Yeah, I did. This is Sue, by the way. I did hear that. And I guess the first thing that I would do is look at your class sizes and see how many classrooms you have, how many teachers you're staffing. Because that is 80% of your weight of your costs, operating costs. So that's the first place to look at.
Janetta, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope, I agree actually with Sue. That is typically one of the first things is to look at that teacher to student ratio. Just make sure that those are lining up with what they should be.
Thank you. Jade, I'm going to answer your question. Okay? You are asking me as well too, right?
They answered what I needed. I
Okay.
just wanted to hear it.
Yep. My answer is this. We have a declining enrollment, right? Look, I'm just gonna get on my soapbox for a minute here, right? It's probably kind of bleak what they presented. I mean, I look at this, if I'm an outsider, I'm looking at this is bleak. But guess what? I'm positive. I'm feeling positive. You know why? Because we got great staff, we got great teachers, we got great administrators. But you know what else we have? We have great students. And I'm not saying something I don't mean. I don't do that unless I'm trying to get free food, all right? We got great things going on in this district. Let me give you an example. A couple days ago, a staff member got a very sad call before one of the classes. I'm not gonna say who it was. Guess what? The students in that class, maybe you heard this.
I already did, yeah.
The students in that class listened to that teacher and they wrote that teacher sorry notes. I'm sorry for what happened in this situation. Look, we can argue right now until we're blue in the face about how kids have changed, right? Parents have changed, kids have changed. But that right there says a lot. And they weren't older kids. I'm not gonna tell you what grade they were because I don't wanna have them say, oh, you know, geez, don't, whatever. But I see positive things every single day in this district. I'm at the lunchroom. I went to the lunchroom in the elementary today. I see Mr. Johnson. He's like a busy bee going around the school, right? I see Mr. Meyer and Mrs. Zick and Mr. Schultz. They're at activities and I feel like I'm screaming or yelling. There's a lot of positive things. So guess what? It's bleak, right? We can forget what happened in the past. We got to move forward. And dang it, I've made a conscious effort, even though it's interim here, that I want to stay here and I want to continue what the positive things are in this district. Okay? We have to work together. We got some major decisions coming up, right? We got major things coming up on our plate. And we're going to agree to disagree, whether it's superintendent board members, unions and the board members, but we're gonna have to work together. I'll get off my soapbox. Thank you for listening. Sue or Janetta, is there anything else you want to add?
I don't know.
So I want to, Sue, I want to get back, sorry, they're both frozen. I want to get back. I'm concerned about SOD. That's the biggest thing I'm concerned about. And that's probably the umbrella, the budget, SOD over everything else. Do I understand the class sizes? Absolutely, right? That's a spoke in the wheel over the SOD. I do not want this district to go into SOD. And I've said that since, I think, the interview. Right? And I know the administrator's like, come on, Berquist, I don't want to hear about SOD again, right? I don't want to go into SOD in this district.
We want the control.
Correct.
We don't need to be told how to, we need the control.
I don't want somebody from Minneapolis and St. Paul coming out here and telling us what to do in rural Minnesota. That would really irritate me, and I already irritated about a few things, so, okay. So, Sue or Janetta, is there anything you want to add? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I guess this is Sue, and I guess, you know, you've got new eyes looking at things coming in. Randy's, you know, familiar with some of this stuff, and I do also feel positive that there's room for changing things. I mean, I don't know what the history of the referendum is for the district. I know it's $194.58 per pupil unit. I don't know when that went into effect, and but you know, the average for a referendum for a school district is probably around $800 at least nowadays. That's another thing to look at, but I do feel positive too that got some good eyes looking on things.
So, Sue, can I interrupt for a sec? Sorry to interrupt for a sec. In this district, we have what's called LOR, local operating referendum. The school board can do that without getting approval from the communities, right? That's $724, right? And then they put it into two tiers. Tier 1 is like $300 and tier 2 is $400 or vice versa. There's also an operating referendum on top of that, which she was talking about, of $194.58. Now, Sue, maybe he's closer. I believe the average referendum is around 1,200.
Okay.
That's what I believe. I'd like to look that up. I don't know. So, you know, we are below the average. If I'm correct, and if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. But I just want to let you know where we're at with that. And I will double check when that referendum expires. Maybe anybody who's been on the board for a while knows when that expires. Cole or Marge, do you have any idea?
It was 20 years ago in 2011, right?
Was it? Okay,
Okay.
it's been a while.
That's a fantastic memory.
I know, I'm like,
So 2031, something like that.
Oh, expires in 2031?
I'm just,
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Sue. Did that,
is that right?
anything else, Sue or Janetta?
You're done with the bill.
I don't have anything, Randy, other than
Oh, I thought
I enjoy your enthusiasm and 100% agree that we're here for the students. We want to do what's best for Lake Park and the students. And if you're ever feeling down, I told Randy to do this one time. If you're ever feeling down, you go and walk down that kindergarten, by those kindergarten classrooms. Even the older kids are probably a good example, maybe not. But if you go down to that kindergarten wing and spend a little bit of time just watching those kindergartners, you'll see why we're here.
Janetta, guess what?
What?
You know, when you and Sherry and Sue and I met, we got done about 11:37, I think.
Yep.
What time? Do you know where I was at, 11:38?
Oh, were you with the kindergartners?
The kindergartners and the first graders, yes, I was.
That's awesome.
So, board members, anything else from Sue or Janetta? Madam Chair?
I can't think of anything right now, but thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
thank you.
If we come up with additional questions, we can reach out as well, right?
Yes, correct.
Thank you, ladies. Have a great night. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, you too.
Randy, can I get those numbers you said on the tier 1 and the tier 2?
Yep.
Was it 300 and 400?
Let me double check here. It is, and this would have been approved at a board, you don't have to go to 724. You can go up to $724 without community approval. They used to do it at 424, I don't know, 7 years ago, and then they moved it up to 724. At some point, the board said, well, let's do the 724 without going to the taxpayers. And so actually.
And is that one every 2 years?
No, that's, you can keep it going as long as you want, without getting community approval.
Yeah, because when I was on the board, we did reapprove one.
Did you? Okay, so that means then that you would have been under, the seven, I'm sorry, go ahead, what were you gonna ask?
No, you're good.
Okay,
We're just discussing
sure.
numbers.
At some point, you would have had less than 724, then as a board, you would have said, well, let's go to 724, because it'll give us more money. I don't know when that happened. Maybe I could work with Susie tomorrow to figure out exactly when that happened. Tier 1 is 300, I'm sorry, and Tier 2 is 424. My bad, it was
Perfect, thank you.
724. And again, we have authority on the referendum of 194.58, so at some point, maybe Cole's right, Mr. Wixler's right, in 2011, might have went.
We'll have to look.
But I'll double check on that as well, too, board members. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, moving on to 3.2, superintendent evaluation.
Well, if I'm doing something wrong, you just gotta let me know, okay? Remember, I'm just an interim, so, sure. Please let me know.
Give me one.
I'm trying to be as transparent as possible and, communicate with y'all, so.
No, it's not there. I was gonna pull up the goals and standards. I hope everybody had a chance to preview it.
Dr. Berquist, are you okay if I take off?
Oh, yeah, you have to go to that thing, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, feel free if anybody has to go. Hey,
Marge, if you want to add anything in between, because we did our last superintendent evaluation just a while ago too. Okay, so when we signed Dr. Berquist's contract, we said that we would open up a superintendent evaluation in October. So we have to plan and prepare what elements we want to evaluate them on. I believe last time we did 3 elements and 3 standards and 3 elements. So I gave you the print-off sheets there. And I can tell you what we did last time as well, but if you just want to review through them. Then we'll do a majority rules and we can go over if everybody's happy with it. So you'd pick 3 standards and 3 elements. Everybody's still good on doing the superintendent evaluation? So we can decide how we're going to proceed forward? Good. Let's see. So, and most superintendent evaluations in summer, fall, you review the process, you review performance, you create the goals and standards. And then the goals and standards are set for the next year. And then the superintendent uses those as his guidance on how the school board wants and desires his performance to go. In the winter, the superintendent will do a self-evaluation, a mid-year progress reports, formative evaluation, and summary at a board meeting. And then spring, we have the end-of-year summative evaluation and summary at the board meeting. And if anybody wants to open up discussion on any of the, here, do you want me to read you what we did last time?
I
We-
don't have one of those.
Oh, let me give you one.
I'm gonna make some copies.
No, I have enough.
Oh, you do,
She
okay.
just wasn't sitting down yet.
So are you looking at us tonight to select our
I'm-
top 3 standards?
Yes.
And then the 3 elements that would go with each standard is what we want
Yes.
to,
Okay.
absolutely.
So we have something to get started with.
Sure, you want me to
Because
start?
it's September. Yes, go for it.
I think number 1 is our school finances. I mean, we need to get that.
I agree 100%. It was on our last superintendent evaluation as well. And the last time we chose school district finances, school district operations, and teaching and learning.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with whatever you decide, just gotta let me know, because I have my own personal goals for the district as well, I could share with you as well.
Finances, teaching and learning, and what was the other one?
That's what we chose last time, the school district operations
Oh.
and teaching and learning.
Okay.
And they said to break it down because they hadn't always done the superintendent evaluations, but if we started with 3. And honestly, Marge and I can attest that it was quite a process to get to that point. So we were starting,
I'm sorry, can you explain that? I guess I don't know what you mean by that.
it formed a special committee. Were you on it, Marge?
No,
Oh,
it lasted 9 months.
9 months?
Yes, they were looking at standards and how they want to evaluate and
Oh, wow,
creativity
okay.
and a lot of coming forward. But to me, I'm really good with using, and as I hope everybody else is, using the Minnesota State standards for school board evaluation. And, go ahead, Jay, do you have a question?
So last time what were the 3 that you had?
We did school district finances,
Yeah.
school district operations, and teaching and learning.
Okay,
And they said you just don't want to overwhelm.
yep.
But honestly, you didn't find it to be very hard, did you, Marge, when we filled out our survey?
Oh, no,
No,
easy peasy.
I thought so, yeah. So we will be fantastic.
Madam Chair,
When
may I
we
just,
fill these out, do you want these back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair, may I just make it?
Yeah, go
You know, I tell you what, I'm comfortable with whatever you decide. I think school finances to me is probably the number one thing that I like to focus on. Got a couple other ideas too that are pretty close to that, but, you know, I sure don't want it to be a 9-month process. I'm really easy to work with. If, you know, you fill this out or whatever, we can, whatever you want to do next, if you want to meet in December, November, whatever it is, that's fine with me.
No, I said, let's get the ball rolling.
That's right, I like it.
Okay, Randy, do you have any suggestions in here?
I don't have a copy.
I gave you one.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
Obviously, school district finances.
Well,
The ones I picked are student-centered, so I picked teaching and learning, student support are my top 2.
actually, that's exactly
Student
what I was,
support's my number 2.
I actually had student support as my number 2, just looking at this. I think we got great kids here and,
You're fine.
and we need to, we gotta continue with this Raider culture, Raider pride, in my opinion, you know? So I would like that. I think we have to maybe probably teaching and learning would be okay as well too, because we gotta resurrect that staff development committee and everything else. But I think student support should be number 2, but it's entirely up to all of you.
I agree with that.
And
I agree with that as well.
these are on a MSBA.
Yes.
My third was ethical and inclusive leadership.
Love that.
Okay,
But that's,
that's fine with me, yeah.
And if you guys want, as long as you feel comfortable with doing a longer one, we could do more than 3 as well. You know what I mean? I feel very comfortable.
keep it to 3.
Okay.
Thanks, Cole. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, I mean, you keep going, you could go to 4, 5, 6, but I also think communication and community relationships, if we're gonna be asking for, you know, some
Yeah. I agree with you,
interest
Marge.
in my, you know, we need to make sure that he is present.
Yep.
You know, but, so you get to know the community too.
Right?
They're the ones that are gonna bring the money.
Some of these I feel like crossover.
A lot of them do.
I think if
A lot,
you-
it's a very much a
If you
problem.
focus on student support, that mean the community responsibility and the ethics part. I
A
think
lot of areas of learning crossover as well.
It all kind of falls in focused on student, but
Aaron, what are you feeling down there?
I like that, the communication and community relationships, but that's kind of like when you read
Yeah.
the elements of it, it's very similar to the ethical and inclusive leadership stuff.
And you know, you could put like what Jade and Aaron said, you could put some of those bullet items from both of those
From both
into
the
one,
areas. We
which
did.
would be good. Oh, you
Yeah,
did that before?
We did that before, we had
Okay.
multiples in it. So what I hear you guys saying is school district finances first, and then you had interest in student support?
Teaching.
Maybe we don't need to do teaching and learning? Also, didn't I hear somebody say student support as well?
Student support.
Yeah. And I think you guys are looking at more than 3 standards.
Well, like I said, if you,
But you could just keep it as, we could knock it down and do more than one standard and less elements.
you know, you've got school finances, you've got
Yep.
student support, you probably could do communication, community relations, ethical inclusive leadership. You could put communication / community relations, ethical leadership as one.
As one entity.
You know what I'm saying? It's up to you guys, gals, as one, and then put a couple bulleted items from both of those under one,
And,
right?
well,
Does that make sense?
Yep.
you could also do, you could do a couple of the bulleted in student support and teaching and learning too, if they want to
Yep.
include teaching and learning.
Correct?
Who wanted,
Some of those,
Yes.
you know, when it comes down to it, they're hard to measure.
Yeah, they are.
yes,
So I mean, school
so we
finance
might have to
part
ask
is measurable.
questions. And
It's measurable.
Yes,
Whereas these others,
very true.
it's very difficult to measure.
And
I-
Randy has been our interim superintendent for such a short time frame.
Yep.
So it's, you know what, very short. But then look at it, if we move forward with you, good goals that we're looking at.
Well, right, and honestly, I could put some SMART goals based on some of the, off of those and say, look, this is what I would like to do to measure them, right? Sure.
Yeah.
And I can come up with some ideas unless, and if you want to change them, that's fine with me. But, you know, I could do that to move forward and say, look, we don't, school finances, Jade's right, you can measure that
Yeah.
right now and right next month. So for some of these other stuff, you might not be able to measure them until April, you know, or March. I could say, hey, these are my SMART goals based on these
Yep.
standards and elements.
And student support, what are you looking to do to support the students?
Correct.
Or if we are selecting that, then how do we measure that? What is our, gonna be our process to know that Randy is giving our students
Yep.
the support? I heard that wasn't last night, night before that, he's absolutely loved by a student.
I have
I
been
love
hearing it as well.
Oh, well, thank you.
He goes, I love him.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very
That's
kind.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's what we wanna hear.
I paid that kid too, by the way. No, I'm just kidding.
Candy bars.
You know,
And honestly, my
Whatever
reviews are
works.
coming from boys that don't speak up.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's,
Right?
that's very nice to say. Look, I might score low on some of these evaluations, but not with students. You know, I said that from the interview process and everything else, and it's not just me, it's everybody working together. So, you know, I mean, one thing you could measure, you could probably do a random student survey if you want, just throwing that out there. That could be one measurement. But I'm just saying, there's ways to measure things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Could that then be conducted by our student council?
Yes, we could do something like that.
So
We
what-
could, I also like the idea of Randy just writing SMART goals for him as well. Do you know what I mean? This is what I'd like to do in this area. This is what I'm looking for.
So are you saying that, do we just stick with the one standard as the school district finances, because that's all measurable?
I-
And the rest of the goals are based off the SMART?
Whatever you guys want to do here. This was just our preliminary where, when we said we were going with a different superintendent, we chose Randy as our interim. Thank you for accepting.
Thank you
And-
for having, thank you, board members, for having me.
And then we said we would do a superintendent evaluation, decide how we're going to proceed. I just don't want to get off the timeframe so that we're proactive for our district.
I got an idea. How about if I do this, okay? I think school finances is cut and dry, right?
Yeah.
Why don't I put together a couple things? I'm hearing what you have. I'll put together the area and the bullet items under there. I can present it on Monday night at the board meeting.
Okay.
And if you're acceptable to that, great. If you're not, we can switch that around. Does that sound acceptable to you for right now?
That sounds very good.
Board members, Aaron, Cole?
Yep.
That's
Okay.
perfect, Marge? Okay, I'll do that then.
Do I have to keep working here?
No,
Oh, no, you're fine.
you're wasting ink. Stop.
Last time we filled out. And then we.
About
came back
empty,
in and they.
Yeah, I'm
filled
like,
it.
you don't want it, I filled my,
Oh, you're doing evaluation right now?
no,
no,
we're
just put- no,
picking
We're
what,
picking
Oh,
the
fine.
areas.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You pick yours.
Because that-
Give them to me and then I'll put something together.
Well, I had very bossy and being persuasive.
But
Yeah,
yes,
that's
I'm
great,
saying
Sarah.
because he,
Sure, that's great.
I gave her a star.
I've been writing for like 15 minutes. I'm so sorry, you're like, what is she doing?
I was wondering, what the heck, she's writing a journal or
Last
something.
time we wrote them out and then we passed them in and somebody pulled it so we could get.
Oh, that's perfect.
And
Let's
we
do that then.
graded
That's fine
them.
with me.
But everybody's pretty open to just communication, which works just as well.
Yeah.
It's just depending on how people prefer.
So do you want, you wanna go with what Sarah and Marge are writing down? It looks like maybe Cole wrote some stuff down
I've
too.
been talking, so I didn't write.
Do you wanna just collect them, Susan, and then go from there? or what would
Whatever
like?
whatever the board prefers, I'm here to help you.
So you got them handled.
Looks like you got it, man.
Jane and I are, did you write any down?
No.
I did the finances.
Okay, so do you guys want to do it as, do you want to conduct a student survey? Are you comfortable with just SMART goals? What would you guys prefer? Marge, you have an idea?
Oh, are we ready for that for students? Do they know him that well?
Maybe not,
I would,
It's a little, yeah,
a little early. I mean, look, you could
but maybe
probably,
not involve the students in it at this point.
yeah, well, you could,
He is, but I mean, it's more of an introduction,
yeah.
and I don't
You're
know
right,
if they
Marge.
can.
You're right,
Yeah.
I think.
No, that's what I was meaning, is so early in the game to ask
Yeah.
the students.
Yeah, I think we should hold off on that, yeah, but they might say, who's that guy?
But we could say, these are the
Big
three
goofy guy.
standards we're
Yeah.
wondering
know.
about. What are your
Takes
plans
Marge,
We
to
don't
right.
have
move
to send
forward
out the
with you?
survey yet, this is just to figure out what we
Yeah.
wanna ask.
But we could base it on if he would, so we pick areas and then he says, this is what I'm looking to do in this area.
Correct, yes.
And then we can assess it on having a plan.
Yes.
See if you can read cursive.
So you, Susan, if you, at some point, you can give me that or whatever, and then I'll put
course.
the SMART goals together based on some of those things, okay?
Sounds good.
Like one SMART goal could be, you measure, talk about school finances. By June 30th of 2026, our fund balance will go from 4.86 to 9%, you know, it's something measurable like that, right? Because you can measure those kinds
Yes.
of things. Perfect, thank you.
Did anybody have any part of the superintendent evaluation resource that you wanted me to click over to so you could see?
This evaluation will then tie over to our next step on
Yes.
full permanent superintendent.
So as a board,
Fees.
if we evaluate Randy Good, then we can choose to offer him a longer contract. Because we want to be punctual.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
MSBA was recommending starting the process.
November was.
November.
That seems late to me.
Here's the deal, I just wanna throw this out there, okay? I believe the board, before my time, said that they were going to advertise for a position in November, October, November. And I wanna be very transparent, I'm not saying I don't wanna negotiate, but maybe you'll find somebody else. I mean, if you advertise on EdPost, right? I would never suggest getting MSBA to come in here, cause they'll charge $7,000 to $9,000.
Yep.
I could help put together a brochure if you want to advertise a superintendent position. Because correct me if I'm wrong, didn't the school board say they were going to do that?
But throughout the whole process, when both Marge and I were speaking with, and I forget his name right now, he
Lee.
said a lot of times people will be happy with the superintendent. That's
Okay.
where they come to decide, and that's hence the superintendent
Got it,
evaluation.
perfect.
So then they can not end up doing the advertising, they just proceeded down a different
Perfect.
path.
I just want to throw that out there, be transparent.
So our
But everybody has to voice the whole board decision.
So our requirement at this point, we do not need to advertise.
Well, we're September, so it would be
Right.
very early.
Yep.
That's your paper.
And if we were to need to advertise and want to advertise, we would want to do it very early, so that, because remember before, we were just too late in the game.
But we're not, on how we approved it, we're not required to at this point.
No.
So we're set up to where, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
In most superintendent positions, probably, and MSB I think would say this, you'll probably see a whole boatload of them in January and February. Sometimes they move them up to December to get them advertised, right? You
get
don't wanna
word on the
wait,
name.
yeah, you don't wanna wait till the end, cause then you might get some goofy guy like me or something, right? Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes. Okay, anybody have anything else you want to discuss on that?
Before we do the coach's handbook,
Yeah,
or after the coach's handbook, I just have a couple updates for everybody.
okay.
So, thank you.
Sounds good, and I will not be here for our October meeting, because we'll be out of town abroad dealing with my children's stuff.
When
sorry.
when is the October meeting?
Well, here's one of the questions, I think
Yeah, it would be.
we have to decide what we're going to do. Because I put together some information. Somebody asked us about meeting in Audubon, right?
Yes.
I'm 50-50 right now because if we do 1 month this in Lake Park and then in Audubon, then the next month Audubon and Lake Park, everybody's gonna get confused. And I want to sincerely apologize for not giving you an update yesterday or the day before to remind that the board meeting was tonight at 5 o'clock. I'm sorry about that. You know, one thing, I put together a schedule just to make everybody happy. And like December, I just put one meeting, because instead of doing two, in May, I put one meeting. But that's entirely up to you, if you want me to share this with you in an email. But at this point, we have a work session scheduled for October 8th. And apparently the work sessions in the past were in Audubon, and I don't know when it changed.
That's what I was gonna ask you,
recently.
Marge, were all of our work sessions
No,
on?
no, they went from month to month, so if January is the first month, correct, we were odd, so Lake Park was odd even, so we had all the meetings there. Cause we never had work sessions before, we just had a board meeting.
Okay, so
when they
you're
start.
talking.
And then
3 days.
2 is an even number, and that was Audubon.
Okay,
And so we had the meeting in Audubon. Then 3, March and.
what about when we incorporated the work session, because I know we rotated school districts.
That we rotated too, but then it ended up that we ended up being here because it was a lot easier.
Right.
And that's when some people from Audubon's were kind of upset because, you know, it's 2 towns, it's 2 schools basically, but it's 1 school, but people from both of them, and that's when
And they want them in both.
they want.
Well, and also, us board members would occasionally text each other as we're on the way
Right, well,
in the car.
In the round parking
Which
lot.
district are we at, or you
Yeah,
be?
but they changed it, it was only 1 meeting, it was when Tim came that we had a business meeting or whatever.
yeah, and I'm okay. What I'll do is I'll put this calendar out, and I'm gonna do an update. I'll do an update. I'll put this calendar out, or I'll bring it Monday, on our next board meeting, and just say, hey, look, this is what, because we're kind of rotating the work sessions and the board meetings. The thing I don't like about that is, oh my gosh, is it in Lake Park tonight, is it in Audubon, you know? But I can do that, Madam Chair.
And I'll just, it came up, not to me, but someone else heard it from Audubon, people that
Yeah,
want.
somebody approached
want
us about it.
They do want, yeah, they just want both districts to be represented.
Right,
That's
right,
No
right.
problem.
No, not at all.
No, it was very easy to remember.
I mean, both districts.
Both, not both district, both schools, so that our meetings are both in, and we do.
The old
have our work
Zephyrs and
sessions
the
there,
old Parkers.
but they want the big board meetings to be in between the 2 schools.
Right. So, Madam Chair, I'll put together a calendar or schedule, and then you can change it, do whatever you want. on
So
Monday.
then would we keep our work sessions, so 1 month it would be,
Everything's
I just
up.
keep them the same, work session and this, and
so
the
in,
meeting.
yeah, so in
the same
January, we're in
place.
Lake Park, in
Right.
February, we're
Right.
in,
Yes.
is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I'm talking, but what about October, November, December?
Well, you just,
Work backwards from January.
Go back to that odd and even.
well,
Okay.
this month we're in Lake Park.
Yeah, so like, well,
Oh, no,
actually,
we already
next
put
Monday,
Audubon.
we're in Audubon. Monday night, we're in Audubon at 5:30, okay? That was
And
just a
then you could
change.
start
Then
in
we could
October.
start, yep, then
In
October
October,
we
it's
could
number
start
10.
to do
So
That's
that's
an even.
Lake Park, and in November we
Even.
could do Audubon.
So would so would work session and monthly meeting be in Lake Park for
That's
October?
right, that's what you guys said.
Whatever you decide to do,
Yep,
Just make sure
rotate
we-
it every other month.
okay, sounds good, thank you. I'll get something, on Monday night then, thank you.
You wanna double check, make sure we're not overlapping game days.
Yeah, I do, yes,
Monday may have to skip out because JB's out of town.
on Monday night, the 22nd, yeah, that's right, and I'll tell you what,
I don't wanna miss that,
no, I get it, I don't want it, families come first,
yeah,
right? That's fine, you skip out, okay?
unless we can, yeah.
No, we can't change it right now, because it's
We
too,
can miss one
Yeah.
every once in a while, but we're
Yeah.
great in our attendance.
I'll work on that, Jay. Go ahead, Madam Chair.
Anybody else have anything to add to the superintendent evaluation, anything you'd like to see?
I think what we,
How about I'll gather through it, I'll send you guys an email, don't respond to all,
You know,
to create a quorum, and let me know your thoughts, and then I'll send them all over to, you want me to give them to you on Monday?
yes, if you would, please, that'd be great, and then I can have it ready for
Sounds good,
October 8th or whatever it is, work session, if you're okay with that.
works great for me. Okay, 3.3 Coach's Handbook, can I get a motion to approve?
Yes, so moved.
Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, let's open discussion.
Well, Madam Chair, if I may, I have had extensive conversations with Mr. Schultz regarding this. I know we have people on both sides of this issue. My understanding is currently, right now, there's nothing happening this year, from my understanding, that happened like last year. And I just want to throw that out there, okay? Because I know there's two sides to this.
I know, we're just looking at the policy of how it reads and
Yeah, right.
what we
well,
take care of.
Cole, which page is that you're on?
I don't know if I see page numbers in this Adobe. It's about a third of the way in, moving up underclassmen.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that was a good guess. Above it or under it?
Under it. So it's the policy.
Can you go, you're talking about that thing right underneath that. Can you go up just a little bit more? Susan, please. You're talking right here, Cole, right?
Yes.
Moving up underclassmen, this part right here,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
Cool, okay.
Yep. So I guess I'll talk about it since I was probably the reason that it got tabled. You know, I think if we have a broad policy, that opens up chances for, mistakes to happen. And I think we should be a little bit specific when talking about specific sports. I won't get on my soapbox on how I feel about moving up junior high players in general. I believe that, there are I'll just say this, I believe there's 3 times in which a junior high player should be moved up to a varsity level. When I say varsity, I'm talking about C squad and junior varsity because that is the varsity level program. Number 1, if they are going to see significant varsity playing time, they can be moved up. Number 2, if they are a physical danger to the junior high players that they are playing. And number 3, if at the end of the season, you want to invite that entire team up to learn the ropes for next year, and as long as they're not in a physical contact sport with other older players, I think those are the 3 instances in which you could move junior high players up. But football specifically is a collision sport, and there is a major difference between a 13-year-old's body and an 18 or 19-year-old senior. And if we can limit that from ever happening, I think that should be put in the policy.
Does anybody else have any specific views on it?
I think there's a time and there's a place and there's one, I don't think we can hold certain youths back. There's certain ones that are ready.
But a
and then there's
13-year-old? So if it's junior high?
Can I say, go ahead, Ajit, I'll let you finish.
right now we have a freshman that was the size as an 8th grader last year, and he's, but even though he's a freshman, doesn't make him any less apt to get hurt playing against a 19-year-old. I mean, he's a big kid, but he's still developing. So as a coach, as a school district, we have to manage those situations. We can't just, no, we're not gonna do it. Because there's certain kids that will, okay, well, off I go. We could lose them because of that, but we have to manage every one of those situations. I know a few years ago, we moved up 8th graders. Not all 8th graders are ready to move up. There's a handful of them, but not all of them. And then, so there's, and not every sport's the same. I mean, basketball's a different deal, volleyball's a different deal, track is a different deal. So, I mean, every one's a little different. So I know where Cole's at on that. I mean, I just have, I know the ones that were coached through 4th, 5th, 6th grade, I know what they got coached, and I know what they knew. They were ready to do that, but I don't know what the rest of it is, and no different than the rest of our coaches. I mean, when these kids get moved up, they don't know what kind of detail they've had for basic fundamentals. But I think we gotta be careful too, just that we just don't cut and dry. I mean, not one shoe fits all, and not all sports are treated equal. I mean, so it's a tough one. I get it. It's a tough one. It's how do I put it back onto, you know, as I go through this policy, and no different than our fall banquet that we had, our students got if there's consequences for this, there's consequences for that, and you parents got consequences for this, and you got this consequence. And there was nothing brought back to, we as coaches, here's what you can expect. So in these policies, what is it that we can expect from our coaches? What kind of level? And there is a little bit in here, but it's pretty vague. And then the other thing I wanted to point out in here, there's a lot of I or me. Who's I and me? I mean, that should be really, that should be really.
Well, Mr.
Or is this
Schultz,
the coaches?
is there anything that you want to add to the
Yeah,
I
I
and
would
the
say
me?
this is more of a guide to really help out our coaches on popular items that I hear from other ADs and other school districts. So just like, I'm not saying this is the be-all, say-all, and this is the perfect way to do something in each specific situation that's listed up on the screen and in that handbook. These are, once again, like popular things that, you know, regularly do come up in other school districts that I hear from other ADs and other coaches. So this was more so put together to, you know, guide them in the right direction towards making a specific decision that may come up. Obviously, they're gonna probably run it through me first, and, you know, once again, every situation is different, and there's a good way to handle a specific situation, and there's a, you know, not the right way, so,
Thank you.
that's basically all I have to say.
Cole, were you gonna add something?
I
Or are you-
I understand. I mean, I just like to focus on this portion first before we move on to others. Like, my philosophy is, I mean, you build programs by developing, by keeping those kids in 7th and 8th grade, allowing them to play with each other, on the court, on the football field, whatever that might be. When you move a single player up, you are now developing a player, not building a program. That's my personal philosophy. That's the way that I've been taught. I have 27 seasons of coaching at the Minnesota State High School League level. So I do have some experience with this in multiple sports. That's just my philosophy. But going back to football, I had a conversation with 3 coaches. Okay, 70 years experience between the 3 of them, multiple state championships. Not one coach, not one of those 3 said that they would move an 8th grader up to the varsity level.
Cole, can I just get back, sorry, Sarah.
okay.
Can I, you said there would be, let's just take football out of this, right?
Yep.
Take all sports. You said there would be 3 ways or reasons why a student would be, can you just repeat those for me, please?
If the entire team's invited up.
Yep, I get
End of
that.
the season.
Okay,
There's a physical threat to, if the student is 6'4", 275 pound, benches his own weight or her, and runs under a 5'0", 40. Okay, they're a physical threat to the players that they're with. And if they would be a varsity starter or see significant varsity time. I've always had a problem with moving up a player to be a C squad backup or a JV. You now, that one player in 7th or 8th grade, in my experience or in what I've seen, is going to make those players better. You all of a sudden take that player out. Now those 7th and 8th graders don't get to see that. You're developing that player by moving that person up, he or she up, and you're making them better. You're not necessarily making those lower levels. That's just my coaching philosophy.
Sarah, are you gonna say something? I interrupted you, I apologize. Thank you, Cole.
I agree that there needs to be some regulation on moving the underclassmen up. It does worry me that we're putting like absolute, this is the only way that you can move up. that does worry me because every student and every athlete is different. And if we say these are the only 3 ways that you can move up, I just feel like that's not being fair across the field. Again, I do agree that we do need some regulation because it can be, it's a huge contact sport, we all know that. But I feel like if we allow coaches, parents or guardians and the student as a team to figure out if it's what's best for them or the team or whatever, we should leave that to them first. That's just my opinion. I mean, if we start regulating who can move up and when they can move up, we're taking the control away from the coaches and the students, the athletes, and we're putting it in a policy instead of saying,
Right, and that's why I'm saying I'm not even gonna make the argument that we should implement this for all sports. I'm saying football solely, we've done it 2 years in a row, that we've moved up 8th graders to play at the varsity level.
Cole, was it last year and the year prior?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's,
Well, so we've got a couple things, I'm sorry, Marge, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So we got a couple of things here. As a former coach myself, coached a number of sports, the one thing, and I don't want to sound negative towards anybody, what's missing out moving up underclassmen? What's missing? What group is missing on there?
Do tell.
Parents,
Yeah.
right? I'm not gonna, that's my perspective, right? As a former coach, I moved up a couple girls in volleyball, right? And I called the parents. I said, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Because Cole's right? You've got some kid who's 6'5", bruiser, could be a girl as well, too, right? Bruiser, you probably don't want that person out there with the 7th and 8th graders in football, right? But then you might get somebody who's maybe a volleyball girl who's 6'2" in 8th grade, but hasn't come into her own, I don't want to sound weird here, body shape, you know what I'm saying? And I do agree with you, Sarah, I think we got to kind of leave it up to the coaches, but I think we have to get some communication with the parents as well. And I know I did see the email, Mr. Schultz and I, you met on Tuesday night, he did send an email out, a blanket email to the parents, because I think I want to decide if I want my kid moved up. I'm not just talking football now, I'm just talking sports in general. You know, we could definitely put these 3 things in here for football, right? We could put it in for any sport, but then I think it handcuffs us because, you know, I want to get back to this and I don't want to sound negative, but not everybody gets to, you can't just give everybody a participation ribbon, you know what I mean? Participation is great, but there might be some people out there who might excel in some sports. I'm not talking football now, I'm just talking in general. And you can disagree with me, that's fine. We can definitely put this in for all sports if you want. I get really bothered when I see an 8th grade girl or a 9th grade girl or a boy get moved up and they sit on the bench. That bothers me immensely. I don't know if that happens here, but I've seen it happen in tons of schools. You move a student up and they sit on the bench and they don't get any playing time. But guess what? They're happy because they get the varsity jersey. But then they're like, hey, wait, I want to go back with my peers and play. So we can sure do this and put this into policy in there. Or we could just, and we could put, you know, something on the bottom, other circumstances will be determined by the coach, the AD, superintendent, and the parent. If we want to do that, or the coach, the AD, and the parent, we can do something with that.
It's already on there. I mean, if we're gonna change anything, that's like saying we don't trust our AD. I mean, it says right there, after we meet, I will give the final approval, meaning the activity director will give the final approval.
Right.
If I agree with the coach.
I agree,
It should say coach/parent.
correct. I think we gotta add parent in this. Whatever decision's made, if we wanna put some more in there, if we don't want, I think you have to add parent in there, right?
And then that takes all the weight off of somebody else's shoulders. So if the parent, like if I'm adamant that my kid wants to go and
And they get hurt?
get
your 105-pound 8th grader can play with the varsity.
That's what I was gonna say, is I have kids
No, I don't think so.
that have done childcare
105.
for in every single grade in the school. And so when this first came up, I thought back of somebody that I have in the school that's 8th grade. And I thought, no way would I put him up with
my daughter's peers, because my daughter's a senior this year. It's just too big of a difference. But I also have a nephew that is 6'7".
Jeez.
Yeah, doesn't do football, robotics.
Well, at least you can lift up robotics up real tall,
Yeah.
you know?
But to me, I'd be very overly cautious on the safety of children, because although the parents might be very gung-ho and stuff for them to go, I volunteered for the school board because I love kids and I love their safety as like my 1.A. And then education in there and everything, but I just extremely care about them being safe, so.
What if we did?
I would not necessarily feel, I would feel comfortable in the instance where Cole said where it's because my nephew would not be very good playing with younger kids. Because if he tackled them, he might hurt them.
And I agree, so going back to that conversation with the three coaches that had, like I said, over 70 years' experience between them, very, very well-respected coaches. There is always exceptions to every rule.
Yep.
Out of them, one student, out of how many thousands of students, one coach said that in one time they moved and he said he was, and I quote, 6'4", 275, and could bench his own weight. He was a physical threat. That was out of talking to those coaches, that was the only instance in which an 8th grader was moved up.
Because it would be the same as moving up a kid smaller.
In football,
Yep.
and I'm only
And
speaking football, I don't wanna get into the debate of other, coaches wanna do that, that's their philosophy, and I believe we should allow coaches
Yep.
to do what they want, but when it comes
Because
to
they
the
should.
physical safety of our students,
I'm just concerned, one of my kids played rugby last year, it's a very dangerous sport. She took it very aggressively, but when you start seeing the broken collarbones and just how aggressive it is, they're 7th and 8th graders. It's just a little young to be complete
How about-
fractures and stuff.
Why don't we do this? Okay, or I'm just gonna throw this out there, just read
Yeah, you know what, I'm sorry, I've been thinking here for 15 minutes and I can't come up with a good solution. I've talked to Landon about this, I've talked to you about this. Now we've talked, I don't know where we compromise, do we?
Here's what I'm gonna
put it as
try to
is there a
separate
compromise
sports?
for safety?
No, compromise that, so just football, put that aside, and maybe make the rule for football, that no one can, and then the other ones.
Right, but as our policy reads, it would allow
Right,
a
so,
No,
football
I'm saying,
coach to do this.
don't have that policy.
We can
You
amend
would
the
have a-
policy
you
though,
would have
and
one
say
that
that
would-
we need to
like you-
direct
like
it
you
to the
wanted.
team, and if the team just,
Huh?
This isn't a policy.
just a guide.
It's just a guide.
Right, yeah, I mean,
It's a guide, not a policy.
Yeah.
It's
So,
everything.
right, so what about something like this? Okay, this is kind of, I think hits it. I just wrote some things down and we can tweak the words. Let me, Mr. Schultz, junior high girls basketball gets done in December.
Correct.
Do the 8th graders get invited to move up to 9th grade C squad?
Yes, they do.
All 8th graders?
Yes.
When
I guarantee you about 99% of schools in our conference and our section
Do
provide
that.
8th graders to make a C team.
Got it, I agree with that. All right,
Our school over the last couple of years has invited all 8th graders up
for basketball.
for basketball.
if they wanna go, Cole.
Yes, that's what I'm aware of, yes.
Okay, that,
Okay, I'm just asking, I don't know, so.
That was when.
Look, a few years ago,
They've been
I-
for years.
I agree. If we're gonna invite 8th graders up, I don't wanna cherry pick them, right? You guys might disagree with me, we have to move up 8th graders or whatever, at least give them an option, whether it's girls' basketball, whatever. So you put Cole, the entire team invited up, right? He also had physical threat and varsity player, or just a player sitting on the bench, whether C squad, JV, varsity. We could add a 4th bullet item or whatever and say, football considerations will need to be evaluated concerning the physical and safety aspects of the athlete. Okay, that's a guide, right? We could specifically add football in there. So the three.
and I'm not arguing between 9th and after 9th grade, all's fair game.
Right.
C squad, that's up to the coach.
Right. So we could say football, junior high football players, we could specifically spell that out in here.
That's what I would do.
It's a
That's what I'm saying.
compromise, right? It's a compromise. You disagree with me, Sarah, go ahead.
Why would we not just say that for every sport then? I mean, if we're gonna use that as a guideline, it shouldn't just be for football, it should be for all
Well,
athletes.
take for instance golf, we had a lot of boys, didn't we? And there's one that went to practice every single day, he worked hard, blah, 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 and he was the best. How, was he a ninth grader? Tenth, who's?
Talking last year on the
Oh,
boys
yeah,
basketball team, he was an 8th grader.
Well, she's talking golf.
Golf,
Oh, yes, yep, 9th grader last year,
Yeah.
correct, yep.
I'm gonna use an example of somebody I know who wrestled in this room, right? Okay? I don't know a lot about wrestling, but I know that they have different weights. And I know that some 7th or 8th graders go up against 10th or 11th graders because of the weight class, correct, Mr. Meyer?
But they're the same weight.
They're the same weight,
Right.
right? What I'm saying though is, if we do that for all sports, we might handcuff a 7th grade wrestler or an 8th grade wrestler who's based at the same weight. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's why I'm saying it shouldn't be weight specific or football specific, it should just be a general rule of thumb in this handbook that says the team will meet.
Yeah.
Coach, parent / guardian.
Oh, I see. Oh,
And,
Like-
well, and according
I
to
got it.
Sarah's, it would, for wrestling, it would work because that player would be a varsity level player.
correct.
They would meet that
I
guideline.
see
They are
what you're
going to be
saying,
the
sir.
starting wrestler for 106 pounds.
right.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
107 up.
Thank you. I was gonna say 103, and then I was gonna say 97 for you, Art.
I don't
Say that
disagree at all, Cole, with what you're saying. I just want it to be for all of the sports. So if someone is, I mean, it's not only about weight and size, it's also about athleticism versus age. There might be a 7th grade golfer that should sit there and be on the 7th and 8th grade team, but she or he is far beyond their
Right, and
years.
according to that, they would, like you said, I'm just trying not to handcuff. Like you said, I don't wanna micromanage what a coach does. I'm just,
Yeah,
You're
From
concerned
what I've
about
seen.
football.
yes.
We don't wanna limit it, but we just wanna make sure the
I
kids are
agree.
safe.
Yeah.
That's why I
And then
think it should be a separate.
Any 7th or 8th graders have to meet with the coach and the parent and everything.
right.
And this has
That's
been,
what I
this has
mean.
been a contentious issue going back as long as I can remember, and it will continue to be. There's people have their,
I agree that the coaches solely should not have the ability to move players up, but I also don't wanna limit it to, well, he's too big, so he has to go here, he's too small, so he has to stay here. I mean, I just want it to be under the discretion of the team, coach, parent, guardian, student.
And some of the kids might not wanna move up because they'd rather just play with their
Yeah.
peers.
Mhm.
Anybody else have any thoughts on this? Go for it, Jade.
Right. I think it's just important that our coaches are just really tuned into their athletes and their
Sorry about that, everybody.
students. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You need to be fine-tuned. I mean, there's kids, that are freshmen right now that just because they're freshmen doesn't mean they should get tossed out there. You need to get them the reps, but you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful on how you introduce them to it so you don't scare them off. Cause that's even as important as the safety side of it is you don't wanna just put them in there and scare them away from the sport. So you gotta
They don't
give them a
continue
little
the sport.
bit, but then you don't wanna get them so he's frustrated either, or she frustrated cause he never gets to play. So I mean, you just really gotta, it's not just the game. There's a
Individual
lot of-
based learning,
there
what the
really
coach
is,
knows
yeah.
is each kid's individual needs.
You know, I'm sure they do know their kids, but what's the limitations? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Who goes, who stays?
And I think, Landon, when we had our meeting Tuesday, didn't you say, you obviously wouldn't have it ready tonight, but you were gonna look into surrounding districts if they moved their 7th and 8th grade kids up?
Yeah, I'll look into it a little bit more further tomorrow. But yeah, it's, I guess my closing statement to this is, every sport is different, every activity is different. And I think if we, like we've been saying, if we handcuff ourselves and word it in a specific way, I think we would possibly be hurting some kids in some specific activities.
So what are you guys feeling for a consensus on this? Thank you, Landon.
I could get some data from Barnesville at Trumbull.
Go ahead.
On what their program's been built with some younger kids.
Go ahead.
Holly also.
Okay. That'd be great, Art, thank you. Because there has to be a lot of districts that run into it, smaller districts where they don't. And Cole, weren't they moving it up because they didn't have enough varsity players, or was it because the kids' athletic ability was?
That was the response that was given during our last board meeting. And again, I have an issue with that. If our reason is to move people up because we don't have enough players for a specific team, that's a program problem,
Not where the kid is in.
not where that, yes.
Because then we're putting the kids' safety at risk.
If you're worried about you play half games, you go half line you put your bigger kids, and you go half line, we're going right side, we're gonna go left side. If you have a numbers problem, you're, at least in football, you should never say, I'm gonna move up 8th graders to fill the void. My opinion only.
Well, that's who do we play, Walker? Was Walker or Wadena? Who do we just play?
What do you know?
Wadena. The year before, they didn't have a team, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have enough varsity players, right?
Right.
Well,
And Frazee too, about 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
So really, we're talking handbook. There's kind of two different things here. There's the handbook that we're talking about, but really what we're talking about is more policy. Realistically, that's where we're falling back more towards it.
Which we don't have a policy, this is just in the handbook, and it caught my eye.
Yeah.
As a coach looking through this,
well,
I remember a handbook used to have, and the reason I bring it up is these things that I've outlined used to be in a handbook.
for the athletics,
But that was 380s before, so.
okay. Well, the positive thing is, we're talking about football, right? No 8th graders have been moved up, correct?
All
right.
We have kids this year.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's great, and I see where Cole's at. I'd have a problem, my kids are older now, but I'd have a problem if my 8th grade kid would have never made it in football, going there. He was too small and too skinny. Just like, he was built a lot like me, but I get that, and I understand that, and I understand where he's coming from. I mean, we could probably talk about this till we're blue in the face, and we might not come up with an agreement. And again, I want to get back to, this is just a guide, right? And if I'm here next year and Coach PJ says, I want to move up 8th graders, I'm going to have a serious conversation with him and Mr. Schultz and say, look, I want to become more active in these kind of decisions, because I do. Safety and security are crucial for me. That's probably my biggest concern about school districts. I mean, I'm sad when I hear crap happening at the Colorado shooting, just, I don't know if it was earlier this week or last week, the Annunciation Church or whatever school. That's detrimental. I'm looking into, because we talked about those windows in Audubon, I'm looking into that because they're wide open, and we're not gonna have a teacher say, hold on, we're gonna pull the shades down when the shooter goes around. So I'm looking into those things. So safety is important for me. At some time, you gotta use common sense, right? You gotta use common sense. I've coached a lot of sports. I've coached football, not a varsity coach, but I've coached football too. And, we had some kids that played down. Matter of fact, I coached 8th grade football here at LPA, and I had 2 twins that played on my team. They were 9th graders and they played on a team. Because we didn't have enough players. We had to create teams. That was your son's,
That
Mark.
was Nick and John, wasn't it?
Yeah, you don't remember that, but anyway, we have to use common sense. And I agree with you, Cole, and I agree with the other side as well too. Basketball, you know, you're gonna have somebody that maybe stands out. Volleyball, and one of the reasons I moved up to 2 girls in volleyball, who happened to also get moved up in basketball, because one girl was 6'1" and one girl was 5'10" and a half. And they could compete, right? So I like the fact that we just have this as a guide. And Cole, you have my word that safety is important for me. And I will, if this gets brought up again in the fall or in the spring, I will sit down with Mr. Schultz and the coach and say, look, we gotta seriously take a look at this. Cause I get it. I'm just happy that nothing's happened yet this year for this. So we could, you know, we could revisit this in the spring for next year if the board so chooses. And, you know, revisit the policy that cause you said there was policies before.
Well, in your handbook.
Yeah, the handbook. And Mr. Meyer and Mr. Schultz are gonna reach out to other schools. It'd be nice to see what other schools are doing too. Does that make sense or not?
Cole bringing up the handbook, because we'd like to go back and enhance the school board handbook. A lot of our handbooks, we could continue to go through and make adaptations and stuff. So we could leave the policy as it is as well and just let our voice be heard to our administrators.
Leave the
Look,
handbook as it is.
Well, because it's just a guidance
It's just a-
tool,
it's just a
saying that
Right.
if a 8th grader were to move up, we'd prefer they meet. You could include Brandy in it with our superintendent, the coach.
And I'll tell you.
Absolutely, we can approve this. You don't need a unanimous decision to approve the handbook. So.
And let me tell you something, I know for a fact, Mr. Schultz has talked to our coaches, to our football coaches about this, right? Because Mr. Schultz and I have talked about this, so our head coach is aware that there's some concern about moving up kids that are maybe not ready. Okay, right, Mr. Schultz?
Yep.
We've dealt with that, yes, sir.
Well, because it's a handbook, can I make a motion to change the language? Okay,
Absolutely.
I would like to make a motion. In the last paragraph, it says, before an athlete is moved up, I would like for the head coach to meet with me. I would like to change the language and have it say, I would like for the head coach and parent/guardian to meet with me.
I think that's a great idea, and I support that 110%. Can we do that, Mr. Schultz? I think that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Board members? Well, Madam Chair, she made the motion, so.
I will second that.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Anything else that anybody would like to add in there?
In the policy committee, has there been any review to see how the policies that we're talking about tie back to the handbook? Or is there?
No, we've only had one policy committee, and actually on my things to talk about tonight, this
have
district's
another one.
behind on policies, not just from some time now, for a couple of years. So we need to make sure to meet on that, so.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are you, Madam Chair?
Yes, we're gonna have a policy committee meeting, March, and cool.
Oh, yeah, Cole, you're on there too.
How do you guys feel in comfortability on that wording?
I think we have to be careful. I don't think we should micromanage this. I mean, our job is to approve it or not. I think if it wants to be rewritten, I think that has to come from whoever's writing the handbook. That's just my opinion.
Well, so you're saying don't add the parent guardian?
Well, are we going to do that? Because if we go down this, if we start editing every document that comes across, like,
Right.
we can make suggestions. I don't think that we can go in and start editing,
Yeah.
the athletic directors and coaches. I don't want to do that. I want to say, this is what I like or don't like. I approve it or I don't.
Yeah, and Cole, I like the fact you say you don't want to micromanage. I agree, but I think I can sell it or agree. I believe the parent needs to be involved in this process. Mr. Schultz, we can change that, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So I support that. What's that?
We spent 20 minutes talking about this and he's like, I can do that right now.
Yeah, so I support that parent adding that, and yeah, people might say, well, that's micromanaging, but guess what? It's common sense. Let's use the parent in there, right?
Well, we're a governing board.
Yeah.
Not an operational board, and
Correct.
part of a governing board is to look at policies and implement changes if our school district has changed. That is part of our duty as a board, is to look at policy and take votes and either change it, and yes, keep it, or change it. That's part of our job as a governing board.
You're right. So we have a motion.
Yes.
And we had a second.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Aaron seconded it.
Okay, I was just seeing if anybody else had any other discussion. Marge, anything to add in there? Paul, anything else to add? Aaron?
Nope.
Jade?
Nope. We're good.
Okay, so we have a first motion, we have a second motion. All those in favor of adding parent guardian in with, I would like the head coach to meet with the AD and the parent guardian, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes. And then we'd have to vote on the handbook, correct?
Yes. Correct, yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, anything else anybody wanted to add in for the handbook? Were there any other sections you wanted to highlight? Yeah, and I think there's nothing wrong with looking at stuff, because sometimes when somebody writes something, like I write the handbook for my program, and somebody else could look at it and say, I have an idea here and stuff. And yes, the governing body, we establish the policy and the rules, and then the staff and administration are there to uphold what we establish.
I guess as the policy committee moves forward, maybe this would be kind of a high emphasis of focus to make sure that we have policies that tie back to the handbook and they collaborate
Yeah, we can do that.
for moving into maybe what would be our spring
Do we
season,
have a
winter
policy
season.
number on sports with MSBA?
I'll have to double check. I just know that many of our policies, like the one I talked about, the financial one today was 2019. I don't recall, but I can look into that, Madam Chair.
And then we could get if we can look into it, see if there's a policy number there, make sure we have it done before spring. Then if we need to make it, well, if the
I've never
policy
seen
is
one.
there, we're tied together.
Never seen one.
I don't think I've ever seen one, but I
But, you
don't,
know,
And it being it's a handbook, I mean, should it be general communication, whether, I guess I and me and specifically Lannon's name in there, does it need to be that, or should it be more general that would report to the AD
AD.
and the
Instead of
superintendent versus
Yeah.
Dr. Bergquist?
Yes.
versus- I mean, should it be?
I agree
when
with
it's
you on that.
Done, it's done.
I agree
Yeah,
with you too.
because, look, I'm not an I, me kind of person, to be honest with you. I think it should be generic and say AD or superintendent, because you just never know what.
we've changed those before.
What's that, Cole?
I said absolutely yes.
Yeah,
We've
okay.
changed those in policies before, there, because the person is no longer teaching there or whatever.
Well, then it handcuffs you in there to, it's kind of like when we did the
Policies, no.
Title IX stuff, the harassment thing. We changed to superintendent and stuff, so forth. Good point, I'll make sure to do that.
Okay, so we'll look at the see if we need to create a policy on that, see if MSBA has anything. Anything else anybody'd like to add?
Could I just,
Yes.
can I just open something?
Yes.
Say something? Okay, I was at a Lake Aggie meeting last week, and the superintendent, I don't know why he was there, but from DGF. And they were talking about they're going to do a levy vote or whatever, and he said last year they lost 11 teachers. They had to let go of 11 teachers.
Wow.
And this year, they're gonna have to let go of more. Holy crud,
There's a lot of that
Okay.
going on.
you know, and then the other thing is I heard from, this is on, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're still in our meeting.
Yeah, someone from Holly told me they were going to like a raffle or something because it's brought on by the teachers because they do not have, the money was going to go for supplies. So that tells me that Holly said you can't order any supplies for this coming year. So they're not
Yes, there's a
doing
lot of
well either,
districts and financial concerns.
Correct.
you know.
Can I just backtrack? Did we have a vote on?
We
so
did not.
We had a
Okay.
motion, so now we just need to vote on it.
And then we can, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Marge. I want to make sure we get that part done.
Okay, so we have a first and a second motion. All those in favor of saying aye, all those in favor say aye of passing the handbook with acknowledging that we can come back and make policies and make adaptations as needed later on in the future.
Do that already?
Yeah, no, we did the wording. You said.
Oh,
we
the wording.
adopt
Okay, got
this.
it. My
So
bad.
all those in favor of passing the handbook, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the handbook passes.
Sorry, I also thought we were done with that, but did another one.
Can I bring up a couple items? I know it's getting late, folks. Here's, were you done, Marge? I want to have a policy committee meeting, all right? I also want to have a building and grounds committee meeting. I just want to keep, I don't want to forget about that. Here's some things that I've been recently working on. I just want everybody to know. The flagpole at the Audubon Elementary has not had a flag for over a year, almost a year. So I'm pretty particular about the American flag and about our country and, you know, military with my son being in it and everything else. So I stopped by and I did introduce myself to the Audubon people. I met the mayor, Tyler. Can't remember his last name now. He's, huh? Lindy, yeah. Just want to let you know that there will be a flag up hopefully tomorrow. I've met with Tyler and I did meet the two ladies in the city center, so met them a couple times, just so you know, I am getting out in the community. Very interesting talk with Tyler, and really appreciate it. He's the mayor of Audubon. I appreciate his help because he's gonna make sure it gets up. And he's an ex-Marine and everything else, so I appreciate that. The Pumpkin Fest, okay, is next Saturday. It was reported, I met with Mr. Keith Zachariason as well, and it was reported that we weren't gonna allow a bus, like we have been for 20 years, to take student, or people back and forth from the car show to the craft fair here, blah, blah, blah. Well, apparently what happened is that somehow the Minnesota Highway Patrol person came in and said, because you're not sponsoring this, we can't provide transportation. Well, I guess I was kind of the bad person about that, but here's what we're going to do. Tomorrow, I'm going to develop a letter. So the Pumpkin Fest next Saturday will be a culmination of the Lake Park Audubon School District, the Community Ed Program, City of Lake Park, and the Pumpkin Fest Committee. And we're gonna put a letter together, we're all gonna sign it, so that we're all co-sponsoring the Pumpkin Fest, so that we can use our buses. And if somebody comes and says, as a taxpayer, why are we using the bus to transport people back and forth? Well, because it's the right thing to do for our community. We've done it for 20 years. I just want to let you know that. I met with Keith Zachariason on that. We will use a bus for Pumpkin Fest. Next thing, I want to let you know, that sign out here, okay? Mr. Keith Zachariason, met with him as well, again. It's supposed to be moved 50 feet north of where it's at. It's not in the right of way, it's in the vision way, okay? So it took the state 6 months to come back and say recently, yeah, you guys can move it 50 feet north. Now the person, I can't remember the guy's name, who helped install it, who's a graduate of here.
Mark Olson.
Yes, I believe that's it, is going to help with that again. So that will be moved up 50 feet. So if you see the sign being moved, it's because the state finally said, yes, let's do that. Now, there's certain requirements, and Keith Zachariason was gonna get to find out what we can advertise and what we can't advertise, because the city does own that sign. I wanted to let you know about that, okay? I want to also let you know, I did go to the city, Becker County, Detroit Lakes, Becker County. We have a special school board election in November, right? We only have one person running. We also have a write-in. You wouldn't believe how much we have to do, and it's gonna cost us at least $3,000 plus for this election. I've met with the two people just yesterday or the day before, and I got the voting stuff. So people can come in and start voting tomorrow. We have the big black box, but I want to give a lot of credit to Susie. There's so much involved in this election process. Susie's done a wonderful job. We have to mail out absentee ballots and everything else. It's gonna be expensive. Again, it's for one person running, but they do have a write-in spot as well. I want to, policy committee meeting, building and grounds. I want to also let you know, I've really got to know quite a few students, helping out with lunch supervision, and it's been great, some great kids here at LPA, right? And it's been a great process. Last but not least, we've had a couple of students apply for the student board representative, and I know, Jade, that I believe you went to the meeting in Fergus, and I think you've talked to a couple of school board members. I guess, and I'm asking if you or somebody from the board would be interested in serving on the committee with myself and Mr. Meyer because I want this to be a formal process for these young people. Because you were through the process. I don't think it's micromanaging. We're inviting the board. I wouldn't ask somebody to be on an interview committee or anything like that, but if you or somebody on the board is interested in serving on a committee, Mr. Meyer and myself would greatly appreciate that.
I'll do that.
Okay. So it could be two of us, or if you both want to do it, it doesn't matter, but Mr. Meyer will set up something next week. That would be great, because that is something very important to me, to have a student representative. Does that sound good? Okay.
Do you want one or two, or?
We could do,
What are you saying the board's for? Is it for a student representative board?
yeah, the student on the board?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking what board is it for serving on?
For selection?
Yeah, yeah.
For selecting it?
Selecting.
Yeah, and
personnel.
I don't
Sounds good.
I don't normally do that, but
No, good idea.
I think it's a great idea, especially, and I'm not just picking Jade on here, but Jade went to Fergus, right, for this meeting?
Yeah, I did do the first meeting, and then I also went to the breakout session
Yeah.
at the MSBA associate deal, so.
And remember,
Prior knowledge.
yeah, she has prior knowledge, so if Jade and Marge, if you,
Marge knows all the kids.
right, would you both be interested in serving on that? It's a formal process, and remember, they can apply for scholarships. There isn't a lot through MSB, but it's great. It's a great experience, and I think it would be awesome to have the students on there, so.
Be looking at a junior and a senior, so then the junior can move up as a senior and then get that.
We hadn't advertised until last Friday, the 12th. We don't currently have any juniors that have applied. So I asked Mr. Meyer to send that out again. We've had seniors apply, but no juniors. Mr. Meyer has sent it out again. Have we got any juniors that have applied?
Not yet.
Okay, that was the premise behind it.
So would it be if we can't get any interested in a junior position, would it be inappropriate to step down to a sophomore position?
No.
And
Sorry to interrupt you,
I'd
Jane.
like to have somebody where, like, if we had a senior and nobody else to guide them, then we're gonna be starting from scratch again. So I'd like to have, where they can learn off each other.
Yeah. So Jade, to answer your question, that's exactly what I was thinking about. But I want to give the benefit to the juniors to still have time, because we had a deadline, right? And we had some students apply, but there's no juniors. So we'll,
Till tomorrow,
till tomorrow.
the juniors, yeah.
So if that doesn't happen, then we can open up the sophomores.
We had two seniors.
That is the class that we've lost a lot
Two
of.
seniors, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Well, you want.
Yes, correct, it is. Many of them are PSEO. So,
Whatever.
do you want to set up a policy now, Madam Chair, or do you want to do building and
Policy
grounds now?
meeting?
Yeah.
When are you guys looking to do it? Next week?
Well, next Wednesday, we have teacher negotiations, right? Who's on that again? Is it Aaron, Jade, and Susan, right? That's at 5:30 next Wednesday.
Yep.
It's here in Lake Park, all right?
Yep.
We could do, I just don't want to do it during any kind of, especially home events, right? Meetings. I don't know what the schedule is next week.
Who's on
When the day-
policy?
Yeah,
Me and Marge, just Marge and I?
no, I'm sorry, we're doing policy Yeah, and building and grounds,
Oh, you're doing them all?
and teacher negotiations.
So what I'm saying is, Paul, if it's just Marge and I, we're pretty flexible during the day.
Oh, you
Oh,
are?
you're on it too, sorry, Susan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm least flexible.
Yes, you are.
She's
not.
got an office at the house.
Well, we
I've got a
could.
lot of assistants.
We might have to get some Cheerios though, instead of giving them to the little kids. I guess I would really like to, I know you guys are doing a lot of meetings and stuff. Could we possibly do a building and grounds committee meeting next Thursday? That's building and grounds. To me, I want to do that. That's supersedes the policy right now at this time, because we got a lot of things that we're
And
trying to get.
transportation, building
Yeah,
grounds.
building and grounds, transportation.
And you were on transportation prior, weren't you?
I was, and then you took me off.
No, you're still on it.
Are you sure?
I think, well, we left
Because you
her.
put me on finance when I became treasurer.
No, you're on finance and transportation,
Oh.
because we couldn't adjust anything
are
on
too
you because
good
you
to
weren't
me.
here.
Okay,
But
You
that's why I
weren't-
said you were on finance.
You weren't originally though.
no.
It was, Paul and I.
Mm-hmm.
But then just when Paul ducked out and we needed
Then
somebody to be on
we made her
temporarily,
do it.
Sarah was
Yeah.
there. And so we could have put her on a different one, but then she was sick that meeting.
Right.
Yeah,
So if you don't mind writing it out till January.
it's fine.
Okay, so when do you want the building ground? Thursday at what time?
Who's on that again? Building and grounds, transportation?
I cannot come Thursday.
I can't do Thursday.
Okay, could we,
Can you do Wednesday? Can we do it before the,
yeah, we can do it before the negotiations. That's a great idea. I was just gonna say that, Jay.
Yeah.
Triple check.
what time? It was
Well,
5:30?
teacher negotiations are at 5:30, but you're not in building and grounds, right?
Wednesday work for you?
Does Wednesday work?
Earlier? Do it before negotiation?
How long how long are we talking?
Well, we could probably, we could go at 4:30 and be done by 5:25. I mean, we'll just get to the point.
Make it be done.
Huh?
I said we could just make it work.
Yeah,
Does Wednesday work for you?
Yep,
Let's,
is 4:30 too early though?
no,
Okay.
I am also very flexible during the day, so
Okay,
it's fine.
so 4:30, building and grounds. Next week I'll have Susie advertise it. Okay, building and grounds, transportation next Wednesday. Then at 5:30, we have teacher negotiations, all right? Policy committee, you wanna look at the following week, Madam
I-
Chair?
Which one? Either one. I'm free next week. I just, if it could be at 5:30.
No, I get that.
High school league. Or not, Find a prairie.
Just Lake Park Audubon.
Tuesday might be too early
Next.
to
Yeah.
advertise.
Next.
We have a board meeting
Is
Monday.
it the following week?
here,
Yeah,
Here at the high school?
yeah, we
Should I
did,
close out the meeting while?
yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that.
Football.
Okay, 4.0, succeeding meetings. 4.1, regular monthly school board meeting, September 22nd, 2025, 5:30, Lake Park Audubon Elementary School Media Center.
Oh, so you're not gonna do a policy one?
No, we're gonna talk about it after, just close the meeting.
Oh,
Meeting is closed. Adjourn the meeting.
Bye, guys, thank you. Hem's
Have a good
gone.
night, thank you very much.
Okay, yeah,
Just really quick, I sent you an email from my work email,
okay,
also to your special ed teacher, but I'm trying to get some census
oh,
for
okay.
special ed, like age groups and what's coming up. So I copied you on the email, cause we apparently don't have teacher emails on our website. Well, you can send them
You're
a
good unless you have
message,
to have
but you
something.
can't like
Okay.
email them
Do we wanna
directly,
stop
but,
it?
Oh, yeah, let's stop that, yeah. Yeah,
thanks, Erin.
yes, so
Just-
I'm so far behind my emails
No,
today, yes.
it's fine, but that's me that sent that today, so even
have
if
to
you
shut
just
this off.
shove it towards someone else that
Yes. I will
probably
definitely-
does like numbers and such,
the
but
red button.
Now, unfortunately, as I make almost every meeting all year, October, I'm not going to be able to make the work session or the board meeting. So I don't know if that's a hiccup in this, but we'd be
Marge,
doing
you
this all
step up
one.
then,
Yep, she
right?
could run
is
it.
it the 8th, you said?
Yeah,
all of October.
no, just those two.
You